to make sure we're doing it right. And as soon as we echo, we know we're live. We're live.
Welcome everyone to Community Board 2, Queens. We are live streaming. This is our April Community Board meeting, full board meeting. Are we echoing?
I'm good.
Okay, we're
I'm
good.
fine.
Okay, great. Oh, sorry, got a little friend visiting. Just posting the link to the YouTube in case anybody wants to share on social if people want to view and they couldn't get into the meeting. So first of all, welcome everybody to our April meeting. Welcome back. We are still virtual. We'll see what happens next month. We will know April 15th or right before April 15th when the governor lets us know what her plans are with regards to open meeting laws and if they are suspended. Just a couple of housekeeping rules, just really quickly. Please keep your audio off. Stay on mute unless you're speaking. And remember, this is a community board meeting, so board members will have priority when asking questions of guests or elected officials. We will put a link, I think Anatole already did, yep, for sign up for public comment. If you're interested in speaking, we have 2-minute public comments for anyone in the community that wants to speak on any topic or any issue. It's completely wide open. So please follow that link and let us know, fill that out, and we will call on you when open comment, public comment is ready. Let's see. Also, for board members, please use your Zoom reactions at the bottom, depending upon what version you're on, and raise your hand if you want to speak. If you're not on video or if you're not on the main screen, we might not see you. So it's always best if you raise your hand using the reactions, because then we can see you. The team can see your hand. Hands get prioritized in the chat list and the user list or participant list, and they go up to the top. The other thing is, I just wanted to mention some house rules. Anatole, do you have screen share? I just want to put up the community agreement. We do have our new board members. I want to also welcome our new board members. There's 11 new board members. So just because of this, we want to just make sure for our new board members and for all of our public members that are visiting, or public community folks that are visiting, our community agreement. Anatole, do you have screen share or not yet?
Yes, he does.
Oh, okay. So we just—
Yep, 1 second.
Yeah, thanks, Anatole. So basically, it's just our community agreement to manage our chat effectively. It's kind of really common sense. So be respectful. Everyone has a right to be here, even if we don't agree with them. No personal attacks. We will warn you if we find anything personal, and we will have to kick people out if there is a problem. We've never had a problem that I know of, so I don't foresee that as an issue. The chat is something to be used effectively to communicate links and details about certain issues. Please keep sidebar conversations to a minimum. They can distract from the speaker or the vote or the topic at hand, and assume best intentions. Let's not question folks' motivation and assume good faith in everybody. And when you're going to chat or even want to speak, think, why am I talking? Time is limited. We don't want to be here forever. We know people have valuable things to do outside of this. So let's just consider whether we need to be saying something. And if you make a mistake or say something that you maybe shouldn't have or offended someone, please acknowledge that. Thank you, Anatole. So as we start the meeting officially, I would like to start with the Pledge of Allegiance. So I'm going to mute my camera for a second if I can. So we have a flag. And if you can focus on my little square, we can start the pledge. So everybody ready?
Yes,
Pledge allegiance
I pledge allegiance to the flag
The
of
flag
the United
of the
States
United States of
of
America,
America, and
and
to the
to
republic
for which it
for which
stands,
one nation,
one nation, under God,
under God,
indivisible,
with liberty
liberty,
and
justice
justice for all.
For all.
Wonderful. All right, now I can just take my flag off.
Yes,
And
blackout.
okay, so now that we're back, first, before we move on to our guest speakers and such, I want to give a very warm welcome. We have special guests here today. We have Fred Kreisman from the Mayor's Community Affairs Unit. Do you want to say anything?
Sure. I appreciate it. Thank you very much, Maury.
Thank you, Commissioner.
No problem. Pleasure.
Hi, Commissioner, how
hi,
are you?
how are you?
Welcome.
Thank you very much. First, thank you, Maury. I just want to acknowledge first Debbie Markell, who's been a dear friend and a former colleague of mine back when she was in CAU. We were colleagues. It's great to be back here as Commissioner of the Mayor's Community Affairs Unit. I really value this relationship with the community boards. That's why the first meeting I held was with the district managers through each borough, and really look forward to having that close bond, close working relationship with the community boards. I find no more important body than the community board. It's comprised of the 50 people who are the most vocal, most involved people in the communities, and I use the district manager really as the focus point, for each of the communities, and look forward to going forward and working closely with them. And this important partnership, it's I think the most important partnership between the mayor's office and communities. And just wanted to introduce also Ido Shargal, who's going to be the Queens Director for the Mayor's Community Affairs Unit. Ido is no stranger. He's had this position before, but now he's just back and better than ever before. And he's experienced. He knows how the city operates, and he'll be able to really work closely with Debbie, with other district managers to be able to help service the communities. I know Debbie's no stranger how to get things done. She's a very results-oriented person, but we just want to make sure to be able to be here to provide the needed services, assistance for this true partnership. This administration is really focused on standing with our police officers, making sure communities are protected, getting better quality of life assistance, improving the quality of life for residents, and really partnering together to help make that a reality, and just not lip service, delivery. Like the mayor says, GSD, we got to get stuff done. So again, I just want to come here. I know no one likes to have speakers speak too long on community boards, and just wanted to come here and introduce myself, and really look forward to this relationship. So again, for all those who celebrate Ramadan Mubarak, happy Passover, preparing for Passover, and it's a holy month, and happy Easter coming up soon, and happy holidays for everyone, all the board members. And I just want to again congratulate the new 11 new board members and taking on the task, a really important task of really representing the needs of the communities and taking your time to take this service upon yourself. It's really important. It's part of giving back, and it's part of what makes your community so special, that you take the time to volunteer and make a difference. A lot of people take their free time for granted, and you're all busy people, and you take the time to really care and make a difference in the lives of the communities you live in. So thank you for your service.
Thank you so much, Commissioner. We appreciate you being here, and we look forward to working with you and
Definitely.
your team.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Who else do we have here from public officials or elected officials? I see. Let me just see here. Oh, I see Mercedes is here for Senator Gianaris's office.
Hi,
Mercedes?
everyone. Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, we can,
Hi.
Mercedes.
Hi, everyone. Good evening. How's everyone doing? Thank you so much for having me again. Celebrations to everyone this month, whether you are fasting for Ramadan or whether you celebrate Easter or whether you're going to celebrate Passover. Just happy celebrations this month to everyone. Just the update I just wanted to let you know is that the state budget still has not passed, and hopefully they could come to a resolution by tomorrow, no later than maybe Tuesday, to have a decision on the final budget for the state. So the senator is up there trying to make sure that that's completed for right now. Other than that, I'm here for any questions or concerns.
Do we have questions for, I see Danielle.
Hi, Mercedes. I have
Hi,
basically
Danielle.
I have basically the same question, but on two topics. On the budget and on redistricting, do you think the senator or someone from your office could come in and talk us through on the budget what will be coming for our community, and on redistricting what that looks like? And I know there's a court case still pending.
Yeah, so that once the court case gets resolved, and also just once the budget actually passes in the state, then I can see what I can do to arrange to have the senator come. So
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks. Any other questions for Senator Gianaris's office for Mercedes?
If anyone happens to have questions after the meeting or need to follow up with our office, I already put my information in the chat. So please feel free to call our office. We are here as a resource and support for CB2.
Great. Thank you. All right. I see Ernie is here from Congresswoman Maloney's office. Ernie?
Yes, nice to see new faces on the community board, and I just want to reiterate, let's hope that, can you hear me? Hello?
Can somebody mute themselves?
Yeah. Well,
Okay.
can you hear me now? I'm saying let's really hope that the lines don't get shifted again. I think it's going to be hard enough for people going to the primaries in a couple of months to know who they're voting.
Ernie, I think you're muted.
Ernie, sorry about that. I was trying to mute the one up below you.
Okay, now I was just going to reiterate, Mercedes was talking about the fact that there is this court case. Let's hope it fails and the lines stay as they are supposed to be, as the new lines stick in place, so there's not further confusion, because it's really, imagine if they have to go back and do petitioning again and everything, it could be, it's hard to imagine the primaries going forward as scheduled. That said, anyway, Carolyn's in Washington now. She's today. There's been a lot of obviously focus on Russia and trying to do something to further pressure them with sanctions and cutting off purchases from Russia of the package of legislation to target. This is another thing that just was passed, a bicameral package of legislation to target abusive pharmaceutical business practices. The Oversight Committee passed the legislation to fund, well, to end pretty much all US government business to Russia. And President Biden actually today signed the Maloney, Comer, Peters, and Portman's Postal Service Reform Act into law, which is going to make a big difference to the solvency and hopefully efficiency of the post office. The Oversight Committee urges, that's another thing about the, oh yes, this was important too. they're basically, I don't know if anybody knows that the post office recently put out an order for replacement of about 700,000 vehicles. And instead of ordering new efficient electric vehicles, ordered ones that are basically not much better in terms of fossil fuel use than the old fleet, which is terribly inefficient. So Carolyn's really been fighting strongly to have that contract put on hold, which it is, and we're going to try to go for something much better. So anyway, she's been doing a lot of work down there, plus continuing her work in the district to try to close down the fossil fuel power plants and push for one of the several ways in which clean energy can come to Astoria, which everybody knows what an important issue that is. Anyway, I'll stop there. And again, if anybody has questions for me, you can ask me now. I'll see if I can answer them, or else call the office. There's always someone there who'll pick up and answer. You can get, in whatever you need in terms of constituent services or just general information. I'll post that in the chat.
Thank you, Ernie. I see Daniel is here from AOC's office.
Hi, Maury. Hi, everybody.
Hi.
Welcome to the new members. My name is Daniel Bathius. I'm the Deputy District Director of Operations for Congresswoman Ocasio-Cortez. A couple of updates for you from our team. On March 24th, the Congresswoman hosted our first in-person town hall since February 2020. We're very excited to do an in-person event. It was in Park Chester in the Bronx. The Congresswoman delivered remarks on the state of the district, where she covered a summary of our work, of the work our office has done in the past months. And you can watch a recording of the event on our Rep AOC YouTube page. And to hear about our upcoming public events, please sign up for our newsletter. We're currently planning our next event, which will be in Astoria later this month, and we'll be sure to send that invite to the board once we have the details finalized. The Congresswoman spent a significant amount of time at the town hall discussing the community project funding requests from last year that were signed into law late last month. All 10 of the projects that our office submitted were passed with the recent budget package. And there were terrific projects all over our district, including $400,000 for a violence intervention program at Jacoby Hospital, $800,000 for an offshore wind workforce development program at SUNY Maritime, $3 million for a new obstetrics wing at Elmhurst Hospital. But we're also excited about 3 projects that are right here in CB2. 2 of them at Sunnyside Community Services, one for $100,000 for the college access program, and the other $175,000 for a home health aid training program. I know Judy's on the call. I just spoke to her about this yesterday. And Emerald Isle Immigration Center also, I believe in CB2, applied for $55,000 for workforce development as well. Right as last year's community project funding were announced, we also have open applications for this year's submissions. It is a tight turnaround. Nonprofits and local government entities are invited to apply by April 15th. And there's more information and submission forms on our website. So I'll share all those links in a moment. Additionally, our office has officially kicked off the 2022 Congressional Art Competition. We invite our high schoolers in New York 14 to submit their artwork to our office for a chance to have it displayed in the US Capitol. We expect the reception for all winners to take place in Washington, D.C. this summer, although it was canceled the past 2 years for COVID, so we'll see what happens in the next few months. The deadline to submit artwork is April 29th at 5 p.m. And if you have any questions or know of a school or student that would like to participate, please contact our office at newyork14art@mail.house.gov. Finally, IRS Tax Day is this Saturday, April 9th. While no tax return preparation will be available, constituents with questions about reconciling advanced child tax credit or third round EIPs, which are the stimulus checks, or other IRS inquiries can visit the local tax assistance center, which is in Elmhurst, on Saturday from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. And that's at 5707 Junction Boulevard in Elmhurst. I'll share a bunch of links in the chat, but happy to answer any questions if you have them.
Thank you, Daniel.
Oh, sorry, can I jump in a second? Because
Yeah, sure, Ernie.
Yeah, not a question, just to add that obviously Carolyn Maloney is also soliciting responses to the art competition, and also I'm not going to run through all the projects that got funded from last year, but just to say there were several great projects in Queens that got funding, and we're looking forward to receiving more applications. And I guess it's a little bit not quite as rushed. It was pretty rushed last year. It's pretty rushed this year. I wish there was more time. And I thought it was actually maybe the final day was the 18th, but maybe it's you were saying the 15th?
That's our deadline so that we have time to submit everything. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I think ours, we have another couple of days, but I better check on that. Anyway, it's not long. It's not long enough. Not long as it should be.
And just one other thing that I remembered, I know people on the community board had asked in the past about the Restaurant Revitalization Fund. I believe that it passed the House today, so it's not been signed into law, but it'll be going to the Senate. I don't know, Ernie, if you have more details about that, but
I know
it has passed the House. So
43 billion, so that will help, and that's something that all the small businesses in Queens have been crying out for. The restaurants, it's really important.
Yeah.
So thank you for bringing that up too. I forgot that.
Thank you. Camille, raise your hand up for Daniel.
Yeah, thank you. Question about the tutoring program that the Congresswoman's office ran last school year. Is there any update or any status on what the outcome of that was, and has that tutoring program continued?
So the tutoring program was actually on the campaign side. If so, it wasn't run out of the congressional office. I believe it's still running, but our office doesn't have the details. If you want to DM me your phone number, I can call you and give you those details, the contact details over the phone, but I'm not allowed to type them or anything. So but I'm happy to refer you to the campaign on that question.
Thank you. Any more questions for Daniel? Thanks, Daniel.
Thanks.
Okay, I see that Assemblymember Nolan is actually here. Assemblymember, are you available to talk now?
Yes, can you hear me?
Absolutely.
Okay, great. First, I just want to real quickly, because we're actually on a Zoom with the budget, I just muted it, let people know that we're making progress. But on a personal note, I wanted to thank so many members of Board 2 for the kind cards and wishes that I got over the last year, which unfortunately spent quite a bit of it in the hospital, but fortunately feeling much better now. I want to just also say quickly 3 very disturbing things that have happened just in the last few weeks. One is we've had a series of attacks at Queens Plaza. We've had stores smashed, windows smashed and vandalized in Hunters Point. And I want to point out that I've been working pretty closely with Megan Cerrito and Diane Ballack in my office to try to work with the 108 on these things and reach out to any community people that might be either at this meeting. I have to get off the Zoom, but they can contact us and we'll be advocating for, as effective a response as we can. And I want to acknowledge also the young woman that was also a prior member of the board, Joanna Carmona. We've been working on the issue involving the Rite Aid. Today, we found out that the Rite Aid on Joanna found out that the Rite Aid on Greenpoint Avenue is going to be closed, and those are all union workers, 1199 workers. So we've been in contact with Sunnyside Post, trying to get some publicity on it and some activism so that we can possibly stave off the closing. It's a horrible thought. I don't know how much we can do, but we certainly can try. And there are certain rules when places are union about giving adequate notice. They call it the warn notice, and that has not happened here. So we're going to pursue a lot of that. And one last thing on city lights. I know that Senator Janoris' office is here. We keep trying to resolve this issue of their taxes going up so much. And I'm very sorry that we have not been more successful. I know Senator Janoris and I talked about some solutions. We're going to continue to keep pushing on that. And, it's good to see everybody. Got to see Ernie the other day. I appreciate it. And always good to see Sunnyside Community Services, which we also fund and support. So I'll let, if Joanna wants to add to it, I'll let her do that. Maureen, I'm glad to see everybody. I don't know if Diane's on it too or Megan, but that's basically what we've been up to.
Thank you, Assemblymember. And I really appreciate what you said about the Rite Aid. I know that Rite Aid very well. And I know that it serves a lot of seniors and elderly, and it would be a real shame, especially because it's convenient for a lot of those folks. So if there's things folks want to do, should they reach out to your office? Are you organizing something? Or?
Yes. We would like to do that. I also want to about the issues on the waterfront. I see someone, Yolanda put something in the chat. And I think she spoke with some of my staff today. I've been a little wrapped up with the budget, but I want her and other people to know that we want to see, we worked hard to support some of the things they did to have the problems with the Hennessy bottles and the parties, it was too crazy the first summer. And now we have these awful smash and go robberies, which cost local merchants thousands of dollars in broken glass, lost profits and receipts, just terrible. So whatever we can do to support that, I was thinking about the 108 probably has the same number of offices it had, and we now have, say, 50,000 more people living in Long Island City than we did 20 years ago. So these are the kinds of things we need to address, and I'll certainly be working with our new Councilwoman Julie Wan and others to make sure that we're getting our fair share and try to address some of these things. And I said Yolanda and maybe some other people, please feel free to call us, even if I'm wrapped up with the budget. Allison or Diane or someone in the office, Megan, will be happy to speak with you. And Joanna certainly is going to be involved in this. And we're all in trying to solve some of these problems, Maury. And thanks, Board 2, for what they do. And thank you for the many good wishes about my fight with, unfortunately, a very rare cancer. But living in New York, we get very good medical care. So I'm feeling quite upbeat. Thank you.
Thank God. Be well. Stay safe.
Thank you.
Are there any questions for the Assembly member? Joanna,
Hi, I'm just going to add something from Kathy. I've actually spoken to the 108. We are hosting a forum this upcoming Wednesday, April 13th at 5 p.m. So we are encouraging the residents from Hunters Point. It will be held either at a community center in Long Island City or one of the restaurants. And we are working with the 108. I already called them. The NCOs and the Crime Preventive Unit are going to be there to answer questions for people from the from the community, as well as for them to explain what they're doing and how they're approaching the situation. And just really quick to introduce myself, I'm Joanna Carmona. I'm currently running for the New York State Assembly, but I just wanted to put that in. I'll put the information on the chat, and we will make sure that the location is confirmed by no later than tomorrow morning. And I will make sure that's out to all the news outlets, as well on my social media and Kathy's social media. So I appreciate it. Thank you.
thank you. Craig?
Hi, everybody. I'm here from Councilmember Bob Holden's office.
Oh, sorry. Craig, I'm sorry. I didn't give you a proper introduction because I thought maybe you had a question for Assembly member.
No, they told me. I think Anatoly's just said, make sure to raise your hand so you're on the list.
No, I got you on my list. Go ahead. Sorry.
So I'll be real quick. I did put in the chat, we physically moved offices. So we no longer are at our Dry Harbor office. So if you're planning on dropping by, the new address is 5838 69th Street. That's the corner of 69th Street and Caldwell, right before the expressway in Maspeth. It's a brand new building. We're the first tenants. Very large space, so we're going to have some great community meetings, and we're going to be able to host everything in person. So we're really looking forward to it. By all means, stop by starting this Monday if you'd like to say hello and chat about any issue that you're facing. We do have a couple of events coming up. This Saturday, it is a free bike helmet giveaway to kids. That is April 9th, 12 p.m. There must be a kid present. So, if you're planning on taking one for your son or daughter, just please have them present. It's going to be while supplies last, and we expect them to go very quickly. We also have a mammogram bus will be on hand Wednesday, April 13th. This is at Maspeth Federal Savings. This is appointment only. So please call our office if you'd like to make an appointment. And then we also have our Easter egg hunt at Juniper Valley Park, Saturday, April 16th from 12 to 3 p.m. So that's always a lot of fun. If you haven't been in the past, the Easter eggs last all of 15 seconds. We get about between 5 and 10,000 of them, but there is usually just that many kids there. So if you're planning on coming, you definitely want to be on time for the hunt. Lastly, I'll say Councilmember Holden did made a surprise visit to the Borden Avenue Veteran Shelter last Friday. This was in preparation for the committee hearing we had on veterans homelessness. One of the big takeaways, we discovered that the food situation significantly changed since COVID. So it was pretty bad and a real topic of the hearing. And something also we discovered there, that many veterans are able to be sheltered in modules within the shelter. So they, in a way, get their own room. And we really like this model, and we shared it with the mayor. So that's something we're going to be looking to discuss more of, both the food situation and how we could expand the modules that are located at the veteran shelter to other homeless shelters around the city. And I will leave it at that, pending any questions you all have.
Any questions for Craig?
Maury, sorry, I couldn't find my hand, but I have a question. Tom chooses.
Thank you, Tom.
Thank you. Craig, thank you so much for, and Councilmember Holden, for responding to our community and requests to visit the veteran shelter. I'm wondering if you have any update about the provider reaching out to the Community Advisory Board chair.
You know, I don't. I know we're going to be going back, though. I want to say in a few weeks. I don't think it's scheduled yet, with Councilmember Julie Wan, and her staff as well. So I suspect we'll be bringing it up then, considering she's council member for that area. But I don't know anything more about the community board.
It's a pressing matter for us. So thank you, Craig. Thank you, and Councilmember Wan. Thank you.
Anyone else for Craig? Okay. Thank you very much for coming, Craig.
Thanks. Sure thing.
Super. Want to recognize Council Member Wan's office, Farah.
Hi everyone. Good evening, I think at this point. Happy Ramadan Mubarak. Happy Passover for those who will be celebrating, and happy Easter for those who will be celebrating. We have a few updates. So just to start off, we will be having legal services come to our office to provide one-on-one legal screenings. We are still working out the details, so it could be with NILAG or it could be with CUNY Law. And that will be at least twice a month. And we'll have a start date for everyone soon. So once we do, we'll email Maury and Deborah so that you all can get the information. These legal screenings will range from housing services to legal to immigration services and everything in between. And we're also planning on bringing a NILAG bus to the district to provide legal services, but that will be more in the month of May or June. So those are in the works. In the meantime, we are also inviting everyone to join us for a community cleanup scheduled for next Saturday, the 16th at 10 o'clock in the morning. It'll be in Dutch Kills. I know, well, that's technically CB2, but if anyone wants to participate in that, or CB1, sorry. If anyone wants to participate in that community cleanup, feel free to come by. We'll be there, it'll be fun. In regards to the 4 burglaries that happened in Long Island City, we are working with the Long Island City Partnership to provide resources and support to the businesses as well as the 108th Precinct. And we're scheduling a roundtable in partnership with the Long Island City Partnership and the 108th for small businesses, so that when things like this happen, they know who to go to, who to contact, and where to get resources. We're hosting satellite office hours at the Queensbridge houses on April 19th, and we'll also be co-hosting an Eid food distribution in district on April 29th. At the beginning of, or before the start of Ramadan, we participated in a food distribution and provided food to over 300 families, Muslim families who, in preparation for the month of Ramadan. And then another thing that we're doing, so we're also going to be participating in the Veterans Shelter Tour with Councilmember Holden's office. That will be later in the month, I believe. And we'll the council member, I know that there have been a lot of emails in regards to the shelters. So the council member and our team will definitely have a lot more information and resources and, you know, guidance at that time. And then lastly, 2 weeks ago, the council member introduced 2 pieces of legislation, and we're incredibly excited about them. These bills focus on expanding language accessibility. So as in case, for some background, New York is required to provide information and services in 10 designated citywide languages and telephonic translations in 100 languages per local law 30, which was passed in 2017, but that law does not go far enough. So currently, because the emergency information from the state and federal government is primarily provided in English, the city doesn't take the responsibility when it comes to disseminating that information to the 1.8 million New Yorkers with limited English proficiency. This is dangerous because the lack of emergency translation services was made very clear over the past 2 years with the start of the pandemic and with flooding from Hurricane Ida, which tragically took so many lives in District 26, many of those who were immigrants who spoke limited English, and in the city as a whole. So, and for those who are not aware, when warnings came, they're only in English and Spanish and not in Bangla or in Chinese or any other languages. Intro 136 would require public-facing city agencies to create procurement lists for community integrated translational services. This would immediately increase the city's capacity to effectively serve communities that are limited in their English proficiency and legitimize and compensate the work that many of our nonprofits are essentially doing for free. This bill would also require comprehensive reporting on the use of these lists by language and organization to ensure that they can be held to task if there are certain language groups not being served. Intro 137 would require that the city include multilingual emergency notifications in their considerations when planning for emergency situations, and translate and disseminate any documents produced as a result of an emergency declaration in New York City from the state and federal government into the designated citywide languages. This is really important because this would get information into the hands of New Yorkers before emergencies happen, and would also help them receive recompensation in the event of a loss related to those emergencies. And then lastly, this was very recent. The DOT has delayed the opening of the south outer roadway of the Queensboro Bridge, at least until the end of 2023. They announced that the shared pedestrian bike lane will also be closed intermittently today and tomorrow. Today, Councilmember 1 had met with Queens Commissioner Nicole Garcia to again push the DOT to open the south outer roadway. She also requested and demanded the DOT do a better job of notifying the public of service disruptions. And the council member will be meeting with the DOT Commissioner Idanis Rodriguez later this month. If anybody has any specific questions in relation to the Queensboro Bridge, I'll put in the information for my colleague Isaac Lazenstein, who can provide more information there as well. And yeah, so if anyone has any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Could you put your permission in the chat, please?
Yes, I'll
Thank
put my
you.
information.
Thank you. Blessed Ramadan to you. And in terms of the homeless shelters, thank you so much, Councilmember Juan, for going to the veterans shelter. I also want to just remind that there are other shelters in our district that deserve the attention as well. In addition, I know we pushed our meeting with Isaac, and I do want to point out one item that we have been calling upon the elected to help us in for 50 years is a New York City park for the Blissville community. Councilmember Juan's colleague in Jackson Heights, who is the chair of the park, is using as a litmus test to determine where parks money goes, zip codes. Unfortunately, the zip code that Blissville, Long Island City shares with Long Island City, 11101, does not have the same park space that true Long Island City does. So I would ask and call upon Councilmember Juan to correct that test to determine who deserves money for parks. Blissville is part of the 1% of New Yorkers lacking parks and green space, and I call upon Councilmember Juan to advocate for us. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom. And I will definitely, since Isaac works, he's the constituent liaison that works on the parks bit, I'll have him reach out to you in regards to that.
Yeah, no, we have a meeting scheduled. It was canceled, but we have it rescheduled. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And I'll be sure to pass that on to the council member. I also, oh, sorry.
Oh, sorry. Who was that?
It's me. I see there's a few questions in the chat. Oh, one of them is directed towards the 108, and the other one is addressing food vendor hours on the waterfront. Allowing these vendors to operate late only encourages people to stay in the park after it's closed. We're coming up on the summer months, and we need to address this before the summer gets extremely frustrating as it has in years past. Yeah, we can definitely reach out to different partners in regards to that and then have an update hopefully by next month, if that's okay.
Yeah, I'd also just for just a point of organization, I ask any folks who are not on the board, if you want to have your questions addressed, it's probably best to sign up for public comment, but it's also okay to put them in there. But sometimes we have to skip the chat questions to make sure all board members are addressed. Great. Thank you, Farah, and blessings of the holy month to you.
Thank you. And I did realize I forgot to extend congratulations to all the new CB members. So hello, everyone, and congrats.
Thank you. Quick question I wanted to ask Tom, because I know this was an issue that came up a couple of times, and this is more for Mercedes and Assemblymember Nolan, which is the issue with the state park over near the new pedestrian Kosciuszko area. Can you mention that, Tom? I know that's
yes, thank you. So we are continuously seeking updates on the state parks that were promised to us as part of the Kosciuszko Bridge project. Over the last few months, we have seen some progress in that a fence has been put up and some trenches have been dug. However, the Brooklyn side has been well appointed for well over a year, and the Queens side has been left almost forsaken. So the last question I asked was, do we have a timetable from the contractor so we can hold people accountable to the progress? Because we've seen little, next to none, and we feel that, again, the Blissville community, South Sunnyside community, areas in which we lack green space and parks, we should be on the priority list to receive one. I will tell you that the skaters, this is going to be a skater park. The skaters are there already. The people that traverse the Kosciuszko Bridge who land there, cyclists. It's very sad that when they land in Queens, they met with 2 vacant lots. So I don't know if Assemblymember Nolan or Mercedes from Senator Gianaris' office have any additional comments there. Thank you.
I would just add to what you said, Tom, is that if you walk over the Kosciuszko Bridge and you get over to Greenpoint in Brooklyn area, you get the park there, but then about 3 blocks away, you have another park that's already there. We are really, really devoid of green space in Queens and especially in CB2. So we would, even though it might not be green space, it is park area.
And we refuse to accept, as someone suggested a year ago, that we have green space in Blissville and South Sunnyside, and it's called Calvary. We refuse to accept that.
Any updates from Senator Gianaris or Assemblymember Nolan's office on this? Do we know? Can we get anything looked into about that?
I know that, and how you doing, Tom? I know that Sam has been following up with you. So I know he's been periodically making sure to keep in touch with like the construction authority and make sure to find out like what's actually going on. So he's still been on top of it. I know that the progress is slow, but
Yeah.
he is still staying on top of it.
Yeah, I would just ask Mercedes, he might need some help because I think they're not answering him correctly.
Okay. But he's definitely still staying
No, I
on
know
top.
he is. I know he is, but
He
we're
hasn't
getting the
forgotten
same
it.
answers for 2 years. We're getting the same answers.
Yeah, it really, we need to push this
Yeah.
because it's just not right for this community. We have no green spaces. We have very little park space. And there's gotta be some way to find out what's going on.
Fair enough.
Thank
Okay.
you. Thank
No
you.
problem.
I want to keep moving because we do have a lot to accomplish. I do want to recognize we have a couple more people to speak before our guest speaker is coming to speak. First, I want to acknowledge and invite to speak the Queen's DA's person, Marlon Palacios.
Thank you, Chairperson. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Marlon Palacios Jr., Community Coordinator at the Queens County District Attorney's Office. First and foremost, I have an update regarding our office. We'll be hosting a Cash for Guns or gun buyback, as some people may call it, on April 23rd, 2022 from 10 to 4 p.m. at Praise Tabernacle Church. That address is 108-11 Sutphin Boulevard, Jamaica, New York. I'll be leaving that flyer in the chat for anyone who needs that information. If you surrender a gun, we'll be purchasing that gun for $200 and an iPad. And I will also be leaving my information in the chat. If anyone has any questions, comments, or concerns for our office, you can always reach out to me. Thank you, Chairperson. I appreciate your time.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate you coming. All right. Is Jeff still, did anyone have any questions for Marlon and the DA? No, I don't see any. Okay, thank you. And please welcome anytime. Please come back.
Thank you.
All right, I think, Jeff, are you still here from the police department? Did you have something?
Yes. I just wanted to introduce
Thanks.
myself. My name is Jeff Cohen. I'm the community ambassador for Patrol Borough North. I'm aware of some of the issues that people had spoken about regarding the waterfront. But more importantly, I just wanted to make sure that people have my information. So I'll drop my email in the chat. Basically, in a nutshell, I'm here to bridge if there's any divide between the community and NYPD to build up partnerships and be more active in the community. The one thing that we are doing right now, and I hope some people can participate, is we're collecting lightly used dresses and suits for prom. If you have a suit or a dress you feel that you don't need anymore and it's in good condition, you can just drop it off at the 108th. We'll pick it up and we'll be distributing this as we get closer to prom season. So if there's any questions regarding things going on, you can just email me, and I'm going to drop my email in the chat right after this.
Thank you so much, Jeff, for coming. And please, like I said to Marlon, don't be a stranger. Come anytime. All right. We're almost there. Victoria is here to speak for Sunnyside Community Services.
Thank you, Maury. Hi, I'm
Thank
Victoria
you.
Medelius. I am the Volunteer Services Coordinator here at Sunnyside. We are fortunate enough to have the community rally around us to help us with some efforts such as like a newly created pantry during the pandemic, and we deepened our relationships with the community. So now we're asking for more folks to get involved now that we are doubling the capacity in our senior center, and we would like more hands on deck. So I'm going to share a brief video of some of the great work that our volunteers have been doing, followed by some information.
Can we give her sharing? Maybe I can do it. I just lost you. Where
Yes, who
are
am I
you?
giving?
Victoria?
Okay, 1 second. I think I might have already. Victoria from Sunnyside, hang on.
Yeah.
Victoria, you'll have it in 1 second. You have sharing privileges.
Right now. Okay, thank you so much. I'm going to leave my information here in the chat for anyone that you know that may be interested in volunteering, giving back. We have a multitude of ways that you'd be able to do so. And I know there's some people on here that have already volunteered with us. A big thank you to you, and we look forward to seeing you again. Thank you.
Thank you, Victoria. I have to say, my husband and I volunteered to give out Thanksgiving meals, and it was such an amazing experience. It was wonderful. It was so organized and coordinated, and to go out, and I think we gave out like 8 or 10 meals, and we went, door to door to the places we had to go. Everything was so easy to follow, and I was like, wait, we could do more. To see the smiles on folks' faces. Some people lived alone. Some people only had one other person living with them. Some had families, but whether they spoke to us for a half an hour or just grabbed the meal and thanked us profusely, it was so fulfilling. And we were so lucky to have a resource like Sunnyside Community Services in our district. And I know if you go on Charity Navigator or any of those, they are top rated organization based right here in our neighborhood. So if you're ever looking for a place to donate or volunteer, we have great groups here. And Sunnyside Community Services is one of them. So thank you for being such an important part of the community. And
thank you.
Thank you for the presentation and recognizing your volunteers. Anybody have any questions for Sunnyside Community Services? I don't see any hands up. Is anybody here from Woodside on the Move?
Hello, everyone. How are you?
Hi,
I'm
Adriana.
Adriana. Well, quick update. Woodside on the Move during the month of March, we had a successful Easter egg event. We served for more of 180 participants, and we were able to give around 10,000 eggs on that event. Despite the rain, it was a very successful event on that Saturday. We also celebrate Women's Celebration Month. We celebrate the women's of our after-school programs and also the housing programs. And during the month of April, we are having the Prompt Up Shop event. We are partnering with another organization called We Give Because We Care. And that event is going to be on April 30 in our Beacon program, PS 361 Woodside Community School. And currently we are accepting donations for suits, dresses for prom. And donations are accepted on Saturdays from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. at PS 361. We also we thank the Mets Foundation because we received a grant and we will be able to provide meals for the most needed person in our community. So this is something that we're going to start planning during the month of April. And that's it from my end. Any questions?
Thank you, Adriana. Another wonderful group that's right here in our district. We're so lucky.
Thank you. Thank you.
And I know both Sunnyside Community Services and Woodside on the Move were so unbelievably helpful when the Omicron, the first Omicron was spiking and making sure people were able to get testing, especially when some of the city MDs and other urgent cares were shutting their offices, and you picked up the slack, both of you, and just we're so lucky, like I said, to have you both in the community. So thanks.
Thank you.
All right. Judy, do you have anything to say? Did you want to talk?
No, Maury, I just thank you so much for the praise. It really feels good. And I just thanks to all of you for your investment in the community. It makes our job easier, and for all the support. That's all I have. Thanks.
Not even a plug for Hunters Point?
Not even a plug for what?
Hunters Point?
Oh, the TF Cornerstone, the move
For your new space.
Yes,
and-
well, we're hoping to move in mid-April. We're moving 2 of our programs in. Most of you probably have heard about this, our caregivers program and our home health aid training program. We're hoping it's going to be around mid-April, and we will have some kind of ribbon cutting ceremony probably in June. Thank you.
You're so welcome. Yeah, we want the community to know, and folks who need to get training or want to participate, that they know where to go.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, thank you. Thank you, everybody, for coming and for all opening yourselves up to questions and all of that. We really appreciate it. Now I want to just invite our keynote, our guest speaker, who is really needs no introduction because we met her last month, and we're so excited she was able to make time to come this month. She is the CEO of Elmhurst Hospital, which really needs no introduction. We know what a critical part of the community the hospital is. Ms. Ortega, Ellen.
Hi, everybody.
Thank you
I was
so
just
much.
telling my 6-year-old to like be quiet because she's like playing Roblox or something like that. I don't even know what that is.
My YouTube.
Oh, it's YouTube. Sorry.
No, it's not YouTube.
So
Mom.
I apologize for that piece.
That's okay.
So I'm gonna show. Can I share my screen now? I don't know if I
Yes.
got it okay.
You have authority.
So thank you again for having me. I'm super excited to be back and to give you guys more information on our beloved hospital. And hopefully, if you were proud before, hopefully this will make you even prouder. So I'm just going to start really quickly. Once again, I want to make sure that everybody knows that Health and Hospital is the largest public health system that we have in the nation. And we're guided by one principle. We're 11 hospitals in New York City, all united by the one thing that we see everybody that comes through our doors. I'm so sorry. So sorry. That comes through our doors. And we see them regardless of the ability to pay. But one of the things that makes us extra special, under the leadership of Dr. Katz, one of the things that we added here is the idea that not only do we want to give care in the most, just to give care as access and give excellent care, but we also want to be pushed in giving care that is social and racial equality. You know, and that's something new as a lot of public health advocates, and something that came up during the pandemic is that we realize social determinants is not only a real thing that happens in our community, but we kind of said, okay, fine, we know what these issues are. How do we start addressing them? So we made them as part of our strategic planning and part of our daily actions. And when you start looking at the goals of the hospitals and projects that we're doing, we're always looking at it with the social and racial lens. So one of the things that you can see, you know, the hospital we were built to serve, actually, we are 190 years old. I cannot believe, first, I think we look amazing for 190, but with being 190, you know, I know we have a lot of our elected officials on, and I really want to thank our Congresswoman AOC for helping us really build our OBGYN, because being 190 years old, it looks a little old. And now with that extra funding, we're able to have a nice upgrade. So one of the things that I want to make sure you guys are really aware that we are a level 1 trauma center. And guys, this is huge. There's only 4 in Queens, 4, and we're one of them. We also have a pediatric emergency room suite that we have. And what makes our pediatric emergency room really unique is that we actually have pediatric emergency attending fellows. So what this is emergency providers that take a special, another like a year and a half they take another training to deal with pediatric emergencies, and they're called PEM providers. And we have 7 at Elmhurst, and that is huge because, you know, a lot of the stuff that we do with our little babies, you know, they're different bodies, different mechanism, and you want to make sure in an emergency that you're dealing with a provider that's able to understand what's going on in a child's body. And again, we serve, believe it or not, we serve 1.1 million visits every year. And the borough of Queens only has 2.4 residents. So in reality, if you really think about it, every other adult is served at Elmhurst, either through our inpatient, outpatient testing of vaccines. Another thing that I just wanted to make sure you guys are aware of is that we have an amazing affiliate and partnership with the School of Medicine at Mount Sinai. Not only do we get to teach the next round of the next future attendings and doctors and health practitioners, one of the things that we're trying to do also is to make sure that we're teaching them in a way that our community looks like. You know, many of the things that you'll see in my next slide is that we do sit in the most diverse zip codes, not only of New York City, New York State, but actually the nation, if not the world. I'm going to go to our next slide. So you can see one of the things that makes us even more unique, and you guys can see yourselves here in our zip codes, that makes us super unique is that while that's a blessing being the most diverse zip code in the nation, also it comes with some challenges, right? 15% of us are under the poverty level. 57% of us speak another language other than English. And then 48% of us are foreign born. And that's a huge thing to think about it, because when you're foreign born, you speak another language. When you come to visit the healthcare in the United States, even being an American, sometimes understanding the healthcare in the United States is a little difficult. So that adds another layer of complexity. So what has Elmhurst Hospital done to kind of fix that? One of the first things that we decided to do is like, okay, let's reduce the barrier of language. Being native spoken in Spanish, understanding English and learning English. And, you know, I want to say before the age of Google, I do want to say it was a barrier. And one of the things that we've done at Elmhurst, we've spent around $3 million on interpretation and language services. And that has given us about 4 million interpretation lines. Fun fact, we actually speak more languages than Google. Google only speaks 109. Elmhurst Hospital speaks 125. That represents anywhere from 92 to 95 different cultures and religions. And that brings such richness to our hospital, but at the same time, we're trying to make sure we're giving the best care possible. So one of the things that we've also done in enjoying this richness of our community, trying to figure out how to give the best quality of care. One of the things that we realized right after COVID is that our employees needed some wellness as well. We wanted to make sure that our employees felt they also had a moment to breathe, you know, in between waves or even during the midst of peaks of the pandemic. So we actually have the first chief wellness officer of the whole health system. And I'm very proud that's Dr. Bentley there. You can see her picture. Her smile says it all. And what happens is we created a peer-to-peer where we're able to really sit and relate to, you know, you might be having a hard day, you know, a patient passed away or a patient left, you know, to help you create some closure. And we also created what we call the Elmhurst Huddle, is an e-magazine. So we're also kind of like new age and being green. And in this e-magazine, we talk about all the events going on in the hospital, not only for our employees, but we also congratulate and share stories about each other. So our care is really to being the gateway of the borough here in Queens. As you can see, we have over 30 major service lines. And when I say major service line, it's not 1 or 2 doctors. It's a team of doctors, attendings, and fellowships. So you can see here, we do a little bit of everything. And while we do a little bit of everything, my team will tell you this is my favorite slide, because not only do we do it in a way with compassion and where we see our community regardless of the ability to pay, but we do it well and we do it with pride. You know, as you can see, a lot of these awards were right now in 2020 and 21 during the pandemic. So for us, not only did we help our community overcome the pandemic and get them back onto the health journey, but we made sure their cholesterol was on target, their blood pressure. We made sure that we were promoting breastfeeding. We were promoting cardiology. We became a trauma level. We were promoting LGBT community services. And, you know, that says a lot, because not only do we want to give exceptional care, but we want to make sure that the care that we give is top of the line. Some quick things that you should probably be knowing about our hospital. During the pandemic, a lot of our surveys were delayed because of the pandemic, and now they're all coming back. So one of the things that you'll see, we're getting surveyed in the advanced palliative care recertification, our blood bank recertification, our trauma certification, our total hip and knee certification, our stroke certification, and our big one, which is our big joint commission, which happens every 3 years. And I have to tell you, so far, we've been doing really well. No findings, no areas of improvement. And now we're waiting for our big one, Joint Commission, which would probably happen, I want to say, God willing, around September. I know many of you guys are wondering, like, and I know I mentioned it a little bit in our last meeting that we had. I did mention a little bit how our COVID response was. And I just want to briefly go over it a little bit more. One of the things that we did during the pandemic, believe it or not, we took a breath. We actually stopped what we were doing and we said, the clinical team, the administrative team, the operation team, we got together and we said, okay, what are we doing well? What are the things we need to improve on? And what are the things we have to stop? And it really helped us in managing always the next coming waves. Not only did we manage Omicron, because, you know, if you guys remember, Omicron not only made us the epicenter again, but what Omicron did is, like, and we had the COVID patients and we had our, you know, what we call our regular discharges, because during the peak of the pandemic in wave 1, many of our family members and individuals and community members were not coming to the doctor. So they spent a year without care. When Omicron came, we were at the peak of receiving all those patients to get access to care. And at the same time, we got the Omicron peak. So our hospital was overwhelmed, was packed again. But yet again, we planned the heck out of it and we made sure that we met the needs of our community. And how did we do that? We created action plans. You can see a little chart right here. We created a plan for literally anything and everything that could happen from our lessons learned. We manage our emergency management system to mirror what the state was doing. We created communication plans. I came here, I came to other community board members and town halls. We must have done easy between me and my physicians over 100 town halls during the last peak of the pandemic. We also created a COVID-19 resource hub that's open for both our employees and our community members. And again, like I mentioned before, we also focus on the wellness of our employees and making sure that they didn't feel burnout and felt safe. Mom. So what is for the future of Elmhurst? I have to tell you, one of the things that we did, we were able to get some funding and to create kind of a master planning, kind of creates what the next 10 years of Elmhurst looks like. And if I'm going to put a plug here on our community board assessment, hopefully, I don't know if your chairperson has sent you a little flyer that we're asking for community feedback. It's quick, online. I think it's SurveyMonkey that we have it on. It's a few 10 questions on what kind of like things that we're doing well, things you want us to do better, and really what things you would like to see our hospital kind of do. And it's a quick assessment, kind of taking a pulse of what our community members are, because as you can see, we service 1.1 million people. It's hard to survey all of them, but we're trying, and we figured why not work with our community board members and ask them, since most of you are the voices of our zip codes. And one of the things that we've started to look at is the data, and you can see here in the next 10 years, we're going to have an increase of 10%, almost 11%. Oh. That's a lot of patients. When you think of we're already overcrowded, how do we fit another 11% of our population of 2.4 million people? So that's what we're kind of working on, and that's what we're trying to plan out, not only what the needs of the community are now in 2 years or in 5 years, but really looking at 10 years. And if you know me by now, I have like so many dreams of what we're trying to do. I really want to create a public women health center. Currently, right now in the borough of Queens, there is no women's center public where regardless of the ability to pay, you will be seen. And I see this women's center as not only as an extension of our labor delivery room, but really a women's center that can take a young woman's life from the moment of puberty all the way to postmenopause. We don't have a center like that. Also, we want to make sure that we have some services for our LGBT community as well. So that's what we're planning for the future. But I really wanted to end, and hopefully this works. I really wanted to end kind of like on a summary of kind of what Elmhurst Hospital has gone through in the last 2 years. So hopefully this works. Do you guys hear the music? Do you hear the music? So I really hope that was not only gave you an insight of what Elmhurst was doing, what it's going to do, but really it makes you proud of the public hospital you have in your neighborhood. And I'm open. I added my email if you need anything. And now I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for the presentation. Thank you so much for all you do for the community. I just want to draw attention to, I think you're somebody, where is it?
Atia.
Yeah, Atia posted the survey in the chat. So for anybody who wants to do the survey later to benefit your local hospital, please click on the link and save it in your browser for later so you don't miss the whole wonderful meeting tonight. But please fill out that survey. All right. Do we have, let me see, trying to see hands. Danielle Brecker has a question for you.
Hi, thank you so much for this presentation. It's incredible, and thank you for all of the work that the hospital does. I guess my question is, and also I just want to say the Women's Center sounds amazing, and it is so needed in Queens, but I think that's pretty needed everywhere. But I guess my question is, how can we help you? There's a lot of people on the board or even tuning into the meeting tonight who have a lot of other things they work on or a lot of skills that could probably potentially help you. What is the best way for us to help you?
You know, that's an amazing question. And I have to tell you, one of the main things you could do is fill out the survey, number one. But two, when you're talking to your elected officials while you're advocating for your CBO, And you can also say, hey, I'm also here to advocate for Elmhurst. You know, they need that women's center. They need that expansion for behavioral health. Or you know what? They need a better entrance, or they need that machine. I think one thing is for me to advocate for the hospital and kind of say, like, these are the needs that I see. These are the needs that I base on the data, what my patients needs. Another thing when it's coming from you, because not only are you guys the users of Elmhurst Hospital, but you're active members of the community. Your voice carries so much weight. So the fact that I say, hey, Elmhurst needs a women's center, but then you say it, Daniela, and then Julie says it, I think, and then Lisa says it, and hopefully our men here will say it as well. I think that just makes it a bigger impact. So when our elected officials think about where the budget should go, they're going to be thinking, you know what? I heard 10 times that Elmhurst Hospital needs a women's center. Let's do it. Let's give the money there. And then they'll call me. They'll be like, hey, Helen, what do you think? I'm like, yes, let's do it.
Sorry, I'm on mute. Lisa Deller.
I think she's on mute.
Lisa, you're on mute. Is she there?
Lisa, I think you're off mute. Just your video's not on. Lisa, can you hear us?
Maybe she stepped away. We'll come back to her.
She says in the chat she has computer problems.
Oh, well, we'll come back to you, Lisa. Other questions or comments? I see there's, let me just see. No, I thought that was just a, oh, Camille.
Hi, thanks for being here. So I recall that this hospital had one of the highest death rates in the city, if not the country, at the peak of the pandemic in April 2020. I'm curious, what have you observed about the community perception of the hospital?
So first, your data is correct and incorrect at the same time. What people often forget that Elmhurst Hospital was the first COVID hospital in the nation. That is huge, guys. So when you look at our 524 beds, every bed had a COVID patient. So when you have the majority of the COVID patients, of course, you're going to have the most deaths. Because remember, the pandemic hit everyone like a tsunami. Like we knew stuff like this happened. We knew pandemics happen, but it was all in the books. So when the pandemic hit our doors, nobody was ready for this. Nobody. I still haven't found the hospital that says, yeah, we knew this was coming. We were ready. No, every hospital leader is saying, no, we were not ready for this. We didn't know what this was. It hit us hard and we overcame it. But I think what people often forget that Elmhurst Hospital was not only the first COVID hospital in the nation, but the first testing hospital in the nation, and also the first people to have the vaccine. I mean, I think that alone, hence why our data gets skewed a little bit. And then, hence we did have the most death. We did have the most affected, but we were the epicenter of the epicenter. So the numbers are correct. Now, what does that do to our community members? If we don't really understand the numbers, it does create fear. And that's why I think so many of my doctors, myself included, we've done so many town halls. And one of the things that we've done every wave that has happened through the pandemics, remember we're in our 4th wave now, I've made it to my mission to speak to community board members, to speak to local CBOs, to speak to churches and kind of explain to them, the science and the science behind the numbers, to also assure them that this is something we can work on it and we can be together. I mean, I think the reason why we're in the recovery stage of the pandemic is because we have been working together and building trust and saying, hey, we got you. You're going to be okay. Take the vaccine. I think that's why you should all be very, 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 very proud that Queens is one of the highest boroughs of vaccination. We're actually at 93%. That is huge for our community because we're so diverse. There's so much misinformation from with our communities, within our culture. So to be at 93% is a big deal. So hopefully that answers some of your questions.
Thank you.
I want to step into, ask Lisa's question for her. She wants to know what your budget requests are so that the community board can request in the city budget.
Yes, so that's easy. We will tell you, and what I could also have too in my in my briefing that I did with the borough president Donovan, I did a whole like little summary, like a little one pager, and I can have a Tia
Okay.
send it to you guys so you guys can
Yeah.
public information.
Yeah,
So
we need
we asked for
something in
three
writing.
things. We asked for three things. So don't be shocked at the money value, because when I dream big. And one, I also think our hospital and our borough deserves it. So I did ask for the Women's Center. I'm building upon the work that we've done with Congresswoman Mang and AOC on building more women's services. So we're building on labor and delivery the money that we got, and the money we got from the city as well. So that was 3 million and 7.5 million for our labor and delivery. And now what I'm building on is this Women's Center, which we do not have in the borough, and that's $50 million. And what I'm asking for is that in a 2-year process, I want half of the money now, and then half the money once we start the construction. The next ask that we did is our HIV and TB clinic. Actually, we are the busiest HIV TB clinic in all of New York City. I thought it was Junction Boulevard, to be honest. And it turns out Elmhurst Hospital is. And currently where that care is being given, it's in the back of the hospital. And I have to tell you, we are 190 years old. That back of the hospital is stuck back. It's stuck in like, I don't know, 1920s. So it really needs a facelift and it needs some new equipment. So that's about $5 million. And then we have what I like to call a green project, because one of my main goals is in the next 5 years for Elmhurst Hospital to be the first green hospital. Yes, guys, we will be the first green hospital of New York City. And part of that is to reduce our carbon footprint. And believe it or not, we lose a lot of our energy through our doors. Our two main entrances on Broadway and on the H side of the H building, because the doors are so old, a lot of our heat goes out through those doors, a lot of our AC, it doesn't keep our heat inside. So we asked for $5 million to look to renovate our two front entrances to kind of keep our energy inside. And that's going to reduce our carbon footprint by 37%. And that's like huge. So we asked for 50 for the Women's Center, which is going to be built on the Women's Pavilion. It's going to be 3 additional floors with a bridge to our labor and delivery room. Because currently right now, if you're in the Women's Pavilion that we have currently and you're getting prenatal care and you go into labor, I have to, by law, call an ambulance to drive you half a block into my emergency room. I cannot take you. By law, I have to call EMS. Not only is that a waste of city resources, but it's also not a safe thing for our women to go into labor. And as you guys know, Black and Latino women, maternal mortality is high for our community. Every minute counts when you're going into labor or you have a health emergency. And waiting for EMS to drive you half a block is not ideal. So these $50 million gets us 3 floors, which is going to provide full life cycle of a woman's health cycle, plus a bridge to our labor and delivery room in our ORs. Maybe next time I can come and I can show you pictures if we get the funding, because I already have drawings.
Well, you're always welcome, Helen. But I will say, can you and your team send us this in writing so we can put it together and work with the budget committee to make sure this is great? We just need some kind of document. It could be, you can send it as an email or whatever. Just have that letter, the PDF or doc or whatever.
I can send it to you guys tomorrow.
Oh, awesome. Thank you. Thank you. Any other questions? Thank you again for coming.
Thank you again, and thank you for having me.
It was wonderful. We really appreciate it. And you came on a very active night. I just noticed before we just were hovering around 100 attendees, which I think is one of the highest we've had in a long time. So thank you. Okay. Thank you very much.
Bye, everybody. Have a blessed holy month.
Thank you. So now we are moving into our public comment period, where we welcome the public to speak for 2 minutes. You will have a timer that will our district manager will hold up. If you can't see the district manager, we'll make sure we let you know. You'll hear her alarm go off. So we'll just jump right in. So the first public speaker is William Kregler. Your 2 minutes are starting as soon as you start. William Kregler, are you here? All right. We will go right to the next person and we'll circle back if you come. So if somebody notices William Kregler later, just drop it in the chat. Pat Dorfman, are you here?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, welcome.
Yes.
Thank you. Okay. Let me keep to my 2 minutes here. Please don't start the dinger yet, Debbie. I've rehearsed this. It should be 2 minutes. Okay. You members all serve for no compensation in order to form deep partnerships within your community per the city, and must spend time in finding pro and con and ultimately come down to your own best decision. But we have seen backroom changes for one reason, because elected officials need cover for decisions most or some of the people do not want. Your results are advisory, but your results are crucial. Our past council member was displeased that the CB voted down the first pitch for 5025 Barnett rezoning and the redesign of Skillman and 43rd Avenues. Some board members might have favored the measures, but came down on the side of the community in those instances. We know this because those in favor were backed by special interests, REBNY, big real estate lobby, and transportation alternatives. We opponents were made up of 8 hastily assembled different groups. Businesses opposed became subject to threats of boycott and computer hacking. Some community members received anonymous character assassinations online. Mr. Van Bramer and Borough Hall had to literally reconstitute the body you now serve in. You may not be aware of this, to remove the open discussions and welcoming of public input of the past. If something is a good idea, people can usually see it if leadership and education is provided. I personally love bikes, bike infrastructure, and who does not want a greener future or to breathe better? Who on earth would reject affordable or homeless housing without good reason? Small business and job loss and looming gentrification were the reasons we objected, but they were covered in a fake flag of mercy. It is not helpful to the community for a board to have one point of view. If you did, we would not need a community board. Fair and open discussions and non-stacked committees are important to fill your oath of office. Our formal council person started out and handed. Am I over? That's 2 minutes?
Yes.
Yes.
Can someone ask me a question? Because I've only got a few words left to say.
We don't have questions for public comment. I'm sorry, Pat. It
used to be when a public speaker was able to make a public comment. I would appreciate it, since I've asked to be a formal guest and you refused, that we could even have access to pictures and so on, and you would not allow that. And I would allow me to finish these 275 words.
Pat, I just want to, Pat, just for the record, we have a process and a procedure, and you've been part of this community a very long time, and you know that we go through committees first, and we asked you to go through the transportation committee, and then after that, come to the full board. I will give you 10 seconds to wrap up, but it's not fair to everyone else, so we have to hold the 2 minutes.
Before I have my 10 seconds, the Transportation Committee voted aye without a quorum. That is not procedure. Ask yourself if you are not fully supportive of sweeping changes made on your watch, to which we, listening to FDA NY firefighters, said often and in print was dangerous and would risk lives. You own the danger now. That's what I'm here to tell you. You cannot blame the past. Thank you.
Thank you, Pat. We appreciate you coming. You're always welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Maury, you're muted.
Okay, sorry, I am. Thank you, Debbie. Did anybody see William Craigler come? William, are you here? Okay. So we'll go on to the next person. SFC Jose Acevedo Rivera. Are you here?
Yes, I'm here.
I hope I didn't butcher your name too bad. I'm sorry.
Oh, that's okay. That's okay. So,
Please
hello
drive safely.
everybody. Yeah, hello everybody. Actually, I'm Sergeant First Class Acevedo. I'm the station commander for the Elmhurst Recruiting Station. We actually cover Corona, Elmhurst, Long Island City, Rego Park, Jackson Heights. We have 5 recruiters. Of course, our main purpose is to actually talk about regular Army and Army Reserve incentive and programs, right? I just want to point out 3 of those real quick. First, it's going to
I'm
be
sorry,
actually.
sir. I'm going to interrupt you. I thought you were pulled over on the side of the road and you're actually driving and doing this. That's distracted driving, and I cannot endorse that. Can you come back when you've stopped? Can you come later in the meeting?
Yeah, actually, I'm going to be in 3 minutes. I'm going to be home, so I will.
Okay, so come back on and join, and just be safe, and we'll see you then.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Deborah Farley, please.
Hi, I'm Debbie Farley. Can you hear me?
We can.
Okay, good. I'm a lifelong resident of Sunnyside. I'm here 70 years with extended family members residing here as well. I am affiliated with Queen Streets for All. We represent approximately 1,500 individuals from different organizations, schools, and houses of worship. We will submit shortly to you the written results that we collected from our online and written petitions. I'm speaking tonight to ask you to formally revisit your approval to the redesign of 39th Avenue. We ask you to conduct tours with us and elected officials so that all may see the dangerous and thus unnecessarily circuitous, meandering mess that is now 39th and Barnett Avenues. We are a large part of this community. We feel very frustrated and very angry by the lack of community input and the lack of safety considerations. The sweeping changes on public property installed in a rush fashion with all online and very little opportunity for public input is not really very community-minded. The new middle school that is being built on Barnett, the 3 big box stores, 37th Avenue will soon be tied up with a water tunnel project, means that the redesign of 39th and Barnett will create a congestion situation that will be so dangerous for all of the citizens and residents in this community. The redesign plan was detailed to you and the Transportation Committee in one way, but was actually installed differently. Please demand respect for us. Please look into moving the bike lanes for safe replacement, as was requested by the FDNY 2 years ago. Please look at that unnecessarily narrow turn at Skillman and 51st Street, which impacts response time for the fire department. Please, through the Information Act, request that route timings of the firehouse. That's it? Am I out of time?
Yes, sorry.
Yes.
Okay. I just want to say massive changes to publicly owned spaces need to come with more community input and support, the consideration of everyone's safety, and timely notice. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Debbie. All right. Joe Lobello.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for having me. I'm calling in my capacity as a representative for Queens Council on the Arts this evening. And I just wanted to give a quick update to everybody who's joining us today. But before I do that, I wanted to welcome all the new community board members and thank everybody for your service and your commitment to our neighborhoods and all the work you do every day. In regards to Queens Council on the Arts, we have a big event tomorrow. And our event is at our new space in Long Island City. We're going to have a dance performance, and it's open to the public. You can RSVP. You can find the information on our Instagram site. I also wanted to suggest folks who are open to supporting our organization can join QCA as panelists and nominate themselves to be part of our ability and our commitment to providing funding and support for local artists in the community. And lastly, we are embarking on a listening tour over the next couple of months, and we would encourage everybody to please participate and watch out for the information on our website that we'll be posting on queenscouncilofthearts.org, where you can find a load of resources and information on how you can support not only our local arts council, but also our local arts organization and artists in the community. So thank you all very much. And if you have any questions, I'll be happy to take them in the chat or on email.
Thank you very much for coming. Really appreciate your, again, as I've said to so many other people, please come back anytime. Feel free to drop any questions in the chat for Joe. While we move on, I just see that I think Jose has returned. Are you home now, Jose?
Yes, I'm home.
Okay. Debbie, 2 minutes.
Okay. Yeah, again, my name is Sergeant First Class Acevedo. I'm the station commander for the station in Elmhurst. We actually cover Jackson Heights. We cover Elmhurst, East Elmhurst, Long Island City, Regal Park. We actually have 5 recruiters. So our main purpose is to talk about the reserve and the regular Army incentive. We have a lot of incentive and benefits right now. But I just want to actually put out only 3 that is going to actually be beneficial for our community. First, it's going to be the accelerated citizenship that we have. So all the actual green card members that actually join, they can actually get their citizenship between 6 months and a year. That's something that can benefit the community. Something else is about the CONAP. It's a partnership that we have with colleges. So any applicant that join actually is guaranteed to actually go to college. We have a partnership with over 1,900 colleges around the nation. That's another benefit. And then lastly, we have another benefit that is an English school that we have. We send all the applicants that qualify to Texas to our English school. That's something else that can benefit our community. We have a lot of reserve units around New York, New Jersey, and Connecticut that actually we can support, because actually those persons that join eventually stay in our community and help our community, right? On the 15th of April, we have a big event. We have a national asset. It's a trailer that is coming to Queens Center Mall. So we're going to be actually there, and we invite all the community. And of course, our main purpose is to actually help anybody in the community. So if any event, any actually
Thank you.
okay, so I just want to say that any events that we can support, feel free to actually contact us to our office, and you can find us in Facebook.
All right. Thank you. Feel free to drop the information in the chat.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Come back. All right. Next up, we have Chris Efthimio. I hope I said your name correctly.
Yes, that's okay. Thank you very much for having me.
How do I pronounce it?
It's Efthimio.
Efthimio. Thank you. Sorry.
Yes, thank you. And yes, thank you for having me. I'm a lifelong Queens resident. I travel through CB2 all the time on my bike, and I'm really excited about the 3 proposed protected bike lanes. And I just want to emphasize that we need a protected bike lane path that takes you to the Pulaski Bridge. This is a really critical hub, for cars, and bikes have a really hard time getting across that particular intersection. So I really encourage CB2 to really push for a really safe path from from Jackson Avenue and from 11th Street onto the bridge, because right now it doesn't exist, and I don't see it part of the plan right now. Also, I want to also encourage CB2 to push for the South Outer Roadway to be open to pedestrians, because it's all the work going on the Queensboro Bridge is not allowed for the South Outer Roadway to be open for pedestrian use, and this will really help out. Increase the flow of traffic. Pedestrian traffic, as opposed to having us all squeeze onto the one roadway that we currently have. So I really encourage CB2 to support these projects, and that's about it. I just wanted to express my support for them. Thank you.
Thank you for coming. Joanna, are you still here? Joanna Carmona? Okay, moving on to Manny Gomez. Manny, are you here?
Hi. Good afternoon. Good evening, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
All right. All right. Just let me know when I'm ready.
Whenever you start.
All right. Thank you so much. All right. So I'm president of Sunnyside Artists here in the community, part of the Parish Council of Queen of Angels Church, and an elected Democratic district leader. My job is with one of the main health insurance company. So if you need insurance, health insurance, see me after class. We ask you to revisit the redesign of 39 and Barnett Avenues and 2 other issues. We speak for petitioners and the undersigned committee whose names I have posted in chat. We could go back out tomorrow and obtain many hundreds more. People are deeply distressed. When a bad event occurs, will we say on those issues were voted on before our time? The majority of this board were approved by our former council member. What happens in 2022 is on us. When a bad thing happens due to harebrained design on 39 Avenue or on Skillman, not reached in time by fire or EMT, or because water will not reach the top floors, the public will also look at CB2. I don't want it to be on me. I am going on record that these dangers must be addressed now. You are now in a seat to make power suggestions, and you are free to make your own assessments. If the city ignores you, you try. Some local firehouse runs are delayed. Please, through Freedom of Information Act, request the route timings of the 51st Street Firehouse 18 months before and after Skillman and 43rd Avenue's redesign. According to the FDNY, ignored by the past administration, the situation is a risk to lives. Curbside bike lanes mean ladders cannot reach higher floors. Other properties occurred after 4 unanimous elections that a previous chair was not renewed. Members of this body received emails too late to go to the hearings. These people visited Norberto Saldana and asked him to step down from running. Public hearings where only 100 people could get in. Now we need transparency, leadership, and education. Newer people bring in more digital experience and skills, more ability to harness resources for this board and for us. But we're telling you at this moment, you need to be fully aware of changes
Thank you,
made
Manny.
in the law, particularly public
Thank
safety.
you, Manny.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Come back anytime.
Absolutely.
Thanks. Did we call Adriana? Did I call Adriana Beltran?
Yes, yes, you did.
Okay. Nina Perez.
Good evening. My name is Nina Perez. I'm a Blissville Civic Association member, and I am a resident of Blissville. In New York City describes Long Island City as one of New York City's most exciting neighborhoods, filled with lively nighttime scene, must-visit restaurants and contemporary art museums, along with waterfront and green spaces suitable for picnics and sunset strolls. What about the other side of Long Island City known as Blissville? We share the same zip code and city designation as Long Island City 11101, but we do not benefit from these amenities. In fact, we've been fighting for a park, playground, or green space for over 50 years. Calvary Cemetery is not a green space. In 2018, the city of New York stood in front of our community at St. Raphael's and made promises to bring New York City Park to our community and improve infrastructure. To this date, not one promise has been filled. City Council member Julie Wan and Community Board 2, we are part of the 1% of New Yorkers without access to public parks, playgrounds, and green spaces. Our shelter residents placed in Blissville by the city of New York and the residents of Blissville, Long Island City deserve better. We deserve a place for our children to play. We should have a place where our children are not worried about getting run over by a truck or a car from garbage trucks and big trucks delivering, running our children over. We deserve to have green space and a place to enjoy nature and be able to enjoy our fellow community members. Thank you.
On mute. Thank you so much, Nina. Maria Davis, are you here?
Hello, yes, I'm here. My name is Maria Davis. I'm the Vice President of the Blissville Civic Association. I've been living in Blissville, Long Island City, 11101 for 21 years. So I'd like to state that the Mayor Adams spoke last week of $417 million investment in 104 parks, mostly in neighborhoods such as Brownsville in Brooklyn, Jackson Heights in Queens, and Mott Haven in the Bronx. What about the underserved community of Blissville in Long Island City, Queens, 11101? Our community of Blissville, Long Island City, Queens remains part of the 1% of New Yorkers with no access to parks or playgrounds. And despite our community asking for one for over 50 years, and despite promises made to us by New York City in 2018 to bring a park to Blissville, when New York City decided to shelter our most vulnerable in a community void of parks, playgrounds, green space, and adjacent to one of our nation's largest Superfund sites, we remain without a park and forgotten, neglected. We call upon the community board and our elected to advocate for our community. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I think next up is Catherine Bowen.
Good evening. Okay. Who will advocate for our sheltered population? The city is planning on a budget cut of $650 million for homeless services. We fear the repercussions of this budget cut to our communities and our shelter residents at North Star and the Borden Avenue shelter. We have already seen the degradation of safety at both these shelters where more physical fights are occurring. In Blissville, we are still waiting for NYC and DHS to make good on promises made in 2018 to the Blissville community and our shelter population in Queens Community Board for 2 parks, green space, and infrastructure improvements. I should not be scared to walk in my own neighborhood. I shouldn't have a fear that I'm going to get attacked if I have to take the bus between 5:30 and 6 in the morning to go to work. Something needs to be resolved. Thank you.
Thank you. Shyam Karki? Karki. I think I mispronounced it. Shyam Karki, are you here? Michelle Melnick.
Hi, I'm here.
Thank you.
Members of Community Board 2, my name is Michelle Melnick, and I've been a resident of the Hunters Point neighborhood of Long Island City for 11 years. I wish I were here to complain about cars racing on Center Boulevard, or the grotesque amount of dog poop on the sidewalks, the trash in the streets, and parks blowing in our faces and feet when we walk. I wish these were the worst of the issues that our community was contending with. But instead, it is an insane level of crime and lack of response and accountability, both from the police and our elected officials that we are afflicted with right now, that has forced me to steal the time as a working mother and business owner I do not have to come here and beg for your alliance and demanding that those with the power to bring about change do so immediately. In the past few weeks alone, we've been stunned to learn of a woman slashed while jogging on the Pulaski Bridge, a neighbor attacked with a bottle to his head right outside his own building on 40th and Center, where he was walking with a small dog and his baby in a stroller. Another gang of scumbags last week followed my friend's husband into his building and beat the hell out of him because he asked them to move their illegally parked cars. Our neighborhood stores are being vandalized. Cars are being stolen out of paid lots, illegal ATV riders descending on our parks, racing pedestrians, filled sidewalks, and destroying property. The talk in mommy groups is about pepper spray and self-defense classes, about where and when we can no longer go safely alone. The lack of police presence, police work, and responsiveness has only gotten worse since COVID. With the exception of Assemblywoman Nolan, the voices of our elected officials seem to have vanished. This needs to change, and it needs to change now. I am pleased to hear that the meeting with the 108's Captain Wise and I both came here to request and have been very vocally demanding on social media as being set up, but I truly hope that we will not be given lip service or excuses, but instead a comprehensive plan of action, including real accountability from 108, our elected officials, most of whom have been way too quiet thus far about this crime epidemic that is plaguing Hunters Point and Long Island City as a whole. I posted 2 videos in the chat
Oh, great.
of things I had that I referred to.
Michelle, can you send those to the office too? Do you have our email?
Yeah, those videos we can't download those videos. They're not compatible, so it's best if you email them directly. You'll get the email from Deborah in the chat. Sorry,
Okay.
I just wasn't able to download them.
Yeah,
Sorry.
no, that's fine.
Yeah, or you know, if you want to, if it's something that's not, if it's something you're comfortable with putting publicly or having a private YouTube channel, you could, you know, post them there and then give us the link. If it's,
They were all on Facebook. It's just that they're all on.
Oh,
private.
okay.
So I extracted them so that I can send them to you guys so you could see it.
Okay,
But
yeah.
I'll get it one way or the other. I'll get it to you.
Thank you. Really appreciate it. And also I'd like to say, I heard a little bit about this in advance and I spoke with our chairperson who's not here tonight, but our chairperson of the City Services and Public Safety Committee. And we'd like to invite you to come to talk about this with the City Services and Public Safety Committee at their next meeting. And they will follow up and work with you on this.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, do you know when that meeting is? Do you have?
I don't.
Okay, so I'm going to say this for everybody's sake, but if you go to the Community Board 2 website, you can click on the calendar, but our website is just very easy. It's nyc.gov/QueensCB2. And it's like the second, what's the date? Debbie, do you remember it offhand?
It's the second Wednesday of the month, April 13th.
Yeah.
Isn't that the same date that the meeting's supposed to be with the 108 captain?
Oh, I don't
Our
know.
meeting is at 6:30.
Yeah, our meeting is at 6:30 with, what time is that meeting? Is it a different time or? No, well, if you can come or if you can have representatives come, it'll be really good for us to be in. Okay.
Okay,
Thank
I
you.
appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Yep. I think Camille just posted something. If the calendar was posted to what page? Aiden Roche, what do you mean? Yeah, the calendar is posted to the CB2 website. If you click on that nyc.gov/QueensCB2, then there's a tab at the top about projects newsletter, and then a big tab that says calendar. If you click on that, you'll get the full Google Calendar, which you can even subscribe to.
Great, I see it.
Yeah. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Is that everybody, Anatole?
Yep.
Everybody? Okay. All right. Super. So that is the end of our public comment. Now we are going to move to the board meeting business section. Oh, Mary, did you have a question? Sorry. Mary?
That was supposed to be an applause, not a raise.
Oh, okay. I was like, wait, Mary never raises her hand. So, all right, thanks, Mary. So let's start with attendance for the meeting. And for those of you who
Roz?
are new, Roz, as you're coming up to do attendance, I just want to say for the new members and members of the community who might not understand why the heck we're doing attendance in the middle of the meeting. Technically, this is not the middle of our meeting. The preceding part that we all just witnessed with the public officials and elected officials and public comment, that's all part of the public meeting. Now we move into this other part, which is what we call the business section or session of the meeting, which is the actual board meeting for the board members to do their work as a board. And it's a meeting in which the public is invited to observe, but the public comment part is over. And we start the attendance when the business part of the meeting starts. So we do this attendance, check on everybody, make sure we have a quorum. And for that, I will turn it over to Madam Secretary, Dr. Roz.
Hello. And I'm thrilled that we have new people. I want to welcome them. And if I mispronounce your name or you prefer your name to be slightly different, let me know. Debbie, you'll let me know who's been excused. I understand Amparo Abelbay is excused.
Yes.
And Anatole Ashraf.
Here. Yep.
John Bahia.
Here.
Thank you. Nice to meet you. Carisha Batan.
Excused.
Okay, that sounds good. Nicholas Berkowitz.
Here.
Sandra Begitchka.
Absent.
Absent. Kat Bloomfield. Absent, I guess. All right. Danielle Brecker.
Present.
Hello. Gianna Serbone.
Absent.
Tanya Chavez.
Present.
Osman Chowdhury.
Present.
Stephen Cooper.
Absent, excused.
Okay. Kelly Craig.
Present.
Welcome. Warren Davis.
Present.
Lisa Deller.
We know she's here and having audio issues.
Okay, I will mark her present. Sally Frank.
She's here. Lisa said she's here and frozen.
Okay. Good, gotcha. Sally Frank. Absent.
Absent.
Maury Gallinoy, seeing you today.
Sally is excused as well, I'm sorry.
Oh, okay.
Absent and excused, it's kind of the same, but.
I don't think it's the same. I will mark it excused. William Garrett.
Absent.
Absent. Somnath Gamir. Absent.
Not see him, absent.
Yeah. I'm here. Camille Gray.
Here.
Here.
Oh, I saw you earlier. Kenneth Greenberg.
Here.
Benjamin Gutman.
Here.
Christine Hunter.
Present.
Mohammed Chowdhury Jewel. Absent. Badrun Khan.
Excused.
Okay. Shimang Lama.
Present.
Did I pronounce it right?
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay. Sheila Lewandowski.
Excused.
Benjamin Lucas.
Here.
Welcome, Benji.
Thank
Patrick
you.
Martinez.
Here.
And welcome to you too. Kristen McGowan,
Here.
Robert Maraglia.
Present. Moralia preferred, but that was pretty good.
Moralia,
And
no.
nice to meet you. Present.
Same here. I got it. I hope I'll. Okay. Thomas Matuzas,
Thank you, Doctor. I'm here.
Riley Owens.
I'm present.
Welcome, Riley. Clara
Thank you.
Oza,
Present.
Elliot Park,
Absent.
Carla Perez,
Here.
Stephen Raga,
Here.
Selena Romero,
Absent.
absent. Catherine Sabal,
Absent.
absent. Norberto Saldana,
Present.
Laura Shepard,
Present.
Ryan Smith.
Here.
Welcome, Ryan. Caroline Spitzer,
Present.
and welcome to you, Caroline. Lauren Springer is excused.
Correct.
Puntstock Tashi, could you help me with pronunciation? Mr.
That's
Tashi?
Funtok Tashi. Thank you. I'm here.
Funtok?
Yeah.
Funtok?
That's correct.
Okay. Well, welcome to the board.
Thank you.
Akello Thomas,
How's it going? I'm here.
you're here. Good. Welcome. Mary Torres.
I'm here, not raising my hands, but I'm here.
Anthony Tudela.
Here. Hello.
Hi, Anthony. Frank Wu.
Frank, I saw him before.
Sorry,
Frank, are you here?
I'm here.
Okay,
Yes,
good.
I'm here.
Good. All right. So I believe we have a quorum.
Yes.
Great. So the first order of business, now that we are, we have a quorum, we've taken attendance. Now we have to approve the minutes from March.
I make a motion to approve the minutes from March.
I second more.
Anybody against approving or anybody want to abstain?
So Maury, might we want to remind the new members that they may want to abstain since they weren't here?
Thank you. Thank you, Mary.
Thank
You're
you.
right.
That's exactly what I was going to say, that as a new member was not present and therefore I would prefer to abstain.
Yep. So can we just have the people who want to abstain raise their digital hands?
I need
Does
to be
anybody-
able to see that. Okay, hang on.
Can you see
One,
it? It should be in
two,
your
yes.
participant.
Okay, hang on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 8.
1, 2.
I have 8 abstentions.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I see 7. I'm missing the 8th. I think somebody put their hand down. Oh no, I see Patrick put his up.
So it's further down. Mhm.
Oh, I'm missing.
So it's 8
Oh.
abstentions.
Okay. So 8 abstentions. Okay, and I guess then, and nobody's against approving them? All right. Thank you very much, everybody. So they are approved, right?
Yes.
Great. Okay. So now I'll start with my chairperson's report. And first of all, I just want to say, I want to take a moment to pause for a moment of reflection and to recognize the fact that 2 of our board members have had losses. Sheila Lewandowski lost her mother, as she posted on Facebook, and board member Bajran Khan's mother-in-law passed, and we send well wishes and may their memories be for a blessing. I also want to thank all the outgoing board members who have left the board, including Dominic Lapolis, Regina Shanley, who was a longtime board member, John Vicunis, and Jake DeGroot, who stepped down last month. Thank you all for your service to the community. We're grateful for it. I want to, as people have been saying about the new members, I want to make a very hearty welcome to our new members. We're really welcome you. Grateful that you're here. We're excited for you to participate and be part of the board. We are going to create a digital form for you at the right time to request your committee assignments. We're going to give you a place to write all that in. But first, as I said in our orientation, our brief orientation the other day, I think it was yesterday, right? That for those of you that were there, that I encourage you to go to any of our committee meetings over the next couple of weeks. Sit in on them. See which ones you're interested in. You may have come on the board and thought, oh, I'm really interested in the environment and I really want to be on that committee. And you go around and maybe you're like, wow, surprise. I'm actually very interested in city services. You don't always get your first choice of a committee assignment. Don't let that dishearten you. You're on the board. You'll be used in a way that you can best serve the community. And I'm sure if you've made it this far, you will serve well on any committee. And as many members will tell you, they'll start off on one committee and then they may add a couple committees. They may move around later on. And that's something that always can be explored. So we welcome you. We're excited to work with you and start dropping in on committee meetings. And also that goes for long-term and existing members. You know, you're always welcome to sit in on other committee meetings, whether it's something you're interested in that day or a specific topic, or just to show up and find out what's going on in that committee. I just want to also remind everyone that, you know, in this day and age with lots of social media and lots of ways to communicate with the public, whenever you're speaking in the public, even though you are a board member, you don't speak for the board. The only person that is authorized to speak for the board by our bylaws is the chairperson, whether that's me or somebody else. In some instances, for example, with land use, if the press wants to talk to someone, we will often ask them to speak to a committee chairperson. If you're speaking on social media or in the public, be sure that even if someone asks you, they might not know, they might realize you're a board member and you know, ask you what you think. Make sure you articulate that you're speaking for yourself, not for the board. That's really important, and it's in our bylaws. There will be a new member orientation through Borough Hall for our new members, and you'll find out about that very soon. And so I just want to take a quick second, if all of our new members can just take a moment to say their names and maybe the neighborhood that they reside in. Can we start with John?
My name is John Bahia, and I live in Woodside. Glad to be here.
Welcome. Kelly?
Hi, my name is Kelly Craig, and I live in Long Island City and Hunters Point. Really excited to be here, guys. Thanks.
Thanks. Welcome. Chemang?
Yeah, this is me, Chemang Lama. I'm on Sunnyside, Queens.
Welcome. Patrick?
Yep, this is Patrick Martinez, and I'm coming from Woodside, south of the Boulevard.
Represent. Robert?
Robert Moralia, Long Island City, Hunters Point, and just delighted to be here and part of this team and see you all. Thank you.
Thanks. Riley?
Hi, everybody. I'm Riley Owens, and I'm near Windmuller Park in Woodside, Sunnyside. Very honored to serve with you.
Thanks, Ryan. Caroline?
Hi, I'm Caroline. I'm in Sunnyside, south of the Boulevard, also by Noonan Playground.
Great, welcome. Funstock.
Hi, everyone. My name is Funsok Tashi. I live in Sunnyside.
Thank you. Welcome.
Thank you.
Akello?
Good evening, everyone. My name is Akello Thomas. I'm a Woodside resident. I live right directly on Queens Boulevard. Thank you. Thank you for the warm welcomes, and I'm happy to be here. Happy to be of service to this community. Let's get it happen. Let's make it happen.
Yes, definitely. We're happy to have you all here. Thank you all. Thank you. I have a bunch of notes here, so please bear with me. So a couple of things. This is also, for the general community. Also, I want to remind everybody we're going to be launching our digital newsletter very soon. There is a sign-up link on the website in the far right column, and you can also go to the contact section. I think Anatol might be able to drop a link in to sign up for our digital newsletter. Also, at the same time, as we are live streaming on YouTube, we're also trying to build up our subscription so we can get a short link so it'll be easier to tell people where to get to our YouTube channel. So please subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can go to the website nyc.gov/QueensCB2, and there's a YouTube link at the bottom of the page. In terms of the office, we had a very quiet March. And I don't think that's necessary. Hearing all the feedback in the public comment, I don't think the amount of complaints we got is consistent with what the community is feeling. We had 23 complaints, and the top complaints were DOT, potholes, a damaged sign, rat sightings for the Department of Health, police department, some various enforcement issues. So as Debbie will always say, call the office, email the office. And this is not only for the general public, but we are the advocates for our community. We represent our community. So all of us board members should be calling in things or emailing in things to the office when we see them in our neighborhood, whether it's in our, right in our block or a couple blocks down. Let us know what's happening. Let the office know. We're going to be adding things to make it easier to do on the website. There will be, in the coming months, a link on the website to submit a complaint directly. Somebody's, I think that's Osmond Chowdhury. I'm going to mute him, mute her. Okay, there we go. So that's that. And I really want folks to call those in, and the general public too. People don't realize, they think that 311 is the answer, and 311 is a wonderful service, and you pick up the phone, you can call it, and they give you a complaint number. But you know what? You can actually use that complaint number, call into the office, give Debbie and her team the complaint number, the reference number, the C-blah, blah, blah number, and we'll follow up on it. The office is amazing. They've been doing this for decades, and they will be able to get some stuff done, as Akello said. So really, let's make sure the office knows about these issues that are going on. So please call them in. Also, I want to remind all the chairs of our committees, you should be working on and finalizing your mission statement and stakeholders. We have created, and I sent an email out. If people didn't get it, let me know. A Google Drive, shared drive, where I want everybody to put those documents, working documents, in there so that everybody can see each other's and work and learn from each other. The Engagement and Inclusion Committee is going to be helping guide us through that process also. And remember, chairs, co-chairs, this is not on you alone. Your whole committee should be working together on this, suggesting stakeholders, suggesting some of the language for the mission. And also, this mission is not just your mission statement and stakeholders, but it also should include your short-term goals and long-term goals. Yeah. Also, I think we may have one more bylaws task force meeting coming up. and then it'll go, the bylaws revision will go to the, yeah, thank you, Danielle, you're nodding your head. I need you there, thank you. And then it will go to the executive committee, which meets the 21st this month we're meeting. Is that right, Roz? You usually know
Yes,
that.
it is. But what
Yeah.
I'd like to know is what's the date? Because I didn't see it on the calendar for the last meeting of the bylaws committee prior to the.
I don't think it was set yet.
Yes, it's April 11th.
Yes,
Oh, it's April 11th, you're right.
And yes, it was posted to the calendar.
What time?
It's
okay.
6:30.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. Oh, you know what? It's in my notes right here. Debbie gave me a little note here to flag, and I totally missed it. Sorry, Debbie, you're working so hard, and I'm totally missing your note to me. And also, the Engagement Inclusion Committee is continuing to work with the tech chair, Anatol, who I want to thank again for, he's just been, every meeting is amazing. He's my right hand next to my left hand, Debbie, and you know, making sure that stuff gets dropped into the chat and that we're running orderly, and he's keeping on top of all the tech issues. So thank you, Anatol. And Anatol and the engagement committee are working on getting the content for the newsletter and ready to go. Anatol and his team on the committee for tech are working on redesigning the website, organizing the content in a way that'll be easier to find information. I know somebody just said something about the calendar. I think the calendar is easy to find, but in my professional work, I do usability. So I know what one person experiences, not what somebody else does. So we're working on that. Also, CB2 members, be sure to attend their trainings for the land use environmental review, CEQR. They did attend, which was held by the city planning for community boards on the 29th and March 30th. And it was a WebEx remote meeting, which was really informative and very helpful. I've already mentioned YouTube. Oh, I just want to say, in honor of the just completed Women's History Month, I am very happy to see that we made history today, and the first ever African-American female will now take her place on the Supreme Court. No matter what side you are on politically or how you see, this is not a political statement. This is a statement about equality and fairness and recognizing that we have never in all of our country's history had an African-American female sit on the Supreme Court. And it's about time, and it happened today, and it couldn't happen sooner, or it could have happened, it should have happened sooner, but in honor of Women's History Month that just finished, I was happy to say that. I did also want, okay, the other thing is I want to remind everybody that the next board meeting is going to be May 7th at 6:30 p.m. It's going to be virtual as far as we know. If we find out otherwise, we're making arrangements if we are able to be in person, but as the numbers have been going up, I think it's like 4% in Manhattan, and I'm not sure what it is in Queens. Queens is usually a little lower lately because, as the CEO of Elmhurst said before, we have high vaccination. The best.
Right. Maury, I just want to correct your date. I think you said May 7th. I think it's May 5th, isn't it?
Could be. Let me see.
The Thursday, right?
May 5th.
Yes, okay,
thank you for correcting me. I need that. And
Sorry,
then,
May 5th, Thursday, May 5th.
Thanks. And then finally, this is a busy month for people who are observant. So I want to say Ramadan Mubarak, happy Passover, happy Easter, and of course, respect Mother Earth on Earth Day and every day. So thank you. And that's the end of my report. It's longer than usual. I apologize for going on. And now I want to turn it over to Debbie for the district manager's report.
Okay, we just to add to what Maury said, some of the complaints are duplicates. So we do try not to count them, as duplicates and we can figure that out. But the PD enforcement issues, they're repeat locations and repeat places, and we do note them in the office, but brand new complaints we brought in. So we noted that as such. I just want to say, working with the tech committee, working with our chair, and working with the public engagement, we have done some upgrades to the website, made it a little easier to read. There were suggestions made, and we worked with the city to have the tweaking done so that it'll be a little more efficient and easier to read. And we're trying to make it as good as you want it to be. So we're continuing that. I also attended, in light of what you're saying, the LIC partnership bid. They had a safety meeting with the 108th precinct and the 114th precinct, and talked about a lot of the robberies that are going on in our pharmacies, CVS, Rite Aid, and all the different places. They have noted that they do go when they get the calls. However, it's up to those pharmacies and up to all of those establishments to either press charges or decide how they want to do. A lot of people get away and they just do it as a matter of business, sadly. And the police department is saying they are doing what they can, but they have to have the cooperation from the chain stores and all of those stores. So I'm just reporting what I've been told. Board members, for new board members, please make sure we have all your correct information, your emails, your phone numbers, your contact information. That's very important. If any of our current board members have changed their phone numbers, email addresses, or have moved, please make sure that we have your updated contact information so that you can receive whatever we need to do. Again, please visit our YouTube channel. We want to make sure everybody's watching it. And really working together. We've been posting much more information on our Facebook and Twitter and our website to make sure that you get the information. If you're not on Facebook and you look at our website, you can see our Facebook postings for the day. It's in the middle on the homepage. So I just wanted to give you that update and see everybody at all of our meetings.
What happened? Did we lose you, Babby? Or did you just finish?
No, I'm here. I'm
Oh.
done. I said, thank you.
No, she's like, she's just leaving. She's done. She left. Oh, I just see that we had about 50 something subscribers today, and now we're at 80. So we just need 20 more till we get our short URL, and maybe we'll be able to also add streaming on our homepage. I missed, there was two things I missed in my report, and now I'll get it out really quickly. First of all, I've made some updates to, we've been talking about this for a little while with the executive committee and with some other folks on the board about committee names and purview, and that some of it's come out of discussion with our mission statements. So we've made a couple of updates. So we still have our arts and culture. We still have our city services and public safety committee. We have our new engagement and inclusion committee. Environment committee is now called the Environment, Parks and Recreation Committee to reflect its expanded scope to address parks and recreation. As we can tell from tonight's meeting and public comment that it's definitely needed. We have Health and Human Services and Education, which also has a subcommittee on it, which is the subcommittee on the unhoused and shelters. And we've changed that name to reflect its expanded scope to not just shelters, but issues of unhoused. As I said before at other meetings, unhoused people who live in our community are our neighbors, whether they live in a structure or live on without a structure. Land Use Committee is now called Housing and Land Use because it's going to address issues of housing as well, which it has done, but it gives it more of a mandate to do so. We have our Technology Committee, we have our Transportation Committee, and we have our Budget Task Force and our Bylaws Task Force. I just dropped those into the chat so you can all see them. And then sorry, I don't know if you can hear that, but it's raining and it's really noisy here. So, the last thing I just wanted to say is I wanted to call to bring to everyone's attention and just to remind board members, this is not a big issue for most people, but from our own bylaws, I just want to state, members shall attend all meetings of the full board except for legitimate excuses, military service, personal illness, or severe illness within the immediate family or death in the immediate family. No other excuses are permitted. It's really important, and I know the Borough President's Office has been talking a lot about looking at attendance very strictly, and I personally am in very much support of that. We have a lot of work to do for the community. Our community is constantly changing and growing. This is New York City. It's always in flux. It's an organism that grows, and we need folks who are committed and want to be here and are going to participate and are going to show up. Yes, we know sometimes extreme things happen and we can't make a meeting. That's why, you know, we have folks that call up in advance and they can get an excuse. But I believe, Debbie, what is the official number of absences?
The last I understand, and we can confirm this with Borough Hall as well, it's 3 absences within your 2-year term.
So 3 absences.
That was the official originally.
And it is really, it is the board's responsibility, our board, to enforce that. And, you know, while it may be unpopular, I believe we should enforce that, because if people are taking up a space that could be occupied by someone who is going to participate, it is not fair to the community. It is completely unfair to the community that we serve. And I want to move forward.
Maureen, you froze.
Make sure people on the recommendation and abide by our own bylaws and what the Borough President's Office sees or advises. And if we have to ask people to step away or we have to take a vote, we will have to do that, because there are people who applied and could not get on and they want to be on the board and they come to meetings. Some people from the community show up at more meetings than a very, very small number of our actual board members. And I don't mean to sound like the superintendent of or principal of the school, but I get frustrated about it. And I know how much work so many of you put in and how you're working and you have jobs and you have family members that you attend to and kids and and you make it to the meeting. And if you aren't able to make the meeting because you're overcommitted and you haven't been able to make consistent meetings, then maybe it's time to consider taking a step back for a while and letting someone else take your position. And that's all I'll say on that matter. And we will move to city planning report.
Hi, everyone. We have 2 land use applications coming up for ULURP. The first is 5802 Northern Boulevard, which is the auto boutique in the eastern portion of Community District 2 on Northern Boulevard. This one, we are beginning to expect this to certify in May. And our goal, I've been talking with Lisa and Maury and Debbie about having them come to the land use committee and full board and trying to enable you all to have a public hearing before your summer break. And then our second application that is coming in the pipeline, but the timeline's a little bit less clear, is 2310 Queens Plaza South, which is the 26-story commercial building proposed on Queens Plaza South in the Long Island City core. This project, we still have quite a bit of work to do on the environmental side, but it could certify in June or July, and so we wouldn't really have the public hearing until September. But I'm also working with Lisa and other CB2 leadership to figure out a timeline that makes sense so you all have time to review. And that's everything I have for today. Happy to take any questions.
Do I see any hands? Any hands for city planning? Any questions for Teal?
And just also for folks who are new to the board, I think just one thing to keep in mind at this time of the year is that all ULURP applications that certify, and certify just means that we at the Department of City Planning have reviewed it, consider their application complete and ready for public review before June. Once the application certifies, the community board gets 60 days to review and have a vote. And if it certifies in June or July, then the community board gets 90 days to review and provide a vote, because a lot of boards take summer breaks in July and August. And that's part of why, like, a little tricky time of the year to set up timing, and we just have to take a little bit of extra care. But if you have any questions with the ULURP process, or you're interested in land use, you can always reach out.
Yeah, Teal, we appreciate that, because it's definitely can be very complicated. And I know I'm still learning a lot about land use and the ULURP process. I do appreciate the sessions you all held. They were really informative and they were very helpful. So thanks for doing that. I also, it's challenging, and I know, we've talked about this before and it's been addressed through land use committee, that we prefer not to have to vote the same day or have a hearing and a vote the same day. It's just a lot to do, and it's a lot to expect of the board members. So I hope we can figure something out with that, because people don't have enough time, I think, to learn and know and understand. I see Lisa is inviting all the new members to please come to the Land Use Committee on April the 20th at 6 p.m. unless you're going to the Borough President's Cannabis April 20th event. Yeah, please come to the, that's a hard one. I'm supposed to go. I've got a conflict. I just realized. A conflict schedule, but I'll probably come to land use because it's so important, and I can probably pick up on the other later. But yeah, you might not get it all when you come to land use for the new members. It might be a little daunting, but just jump in. All right. Anything else from anyone? I don't know why I said anybody else, because nobody said anything. So now we'll go. Thank you, Teal. Thank you very much. Roz, you're gonna give the Health and Human Services Committee, right? Oh, you're on mute.
All right, I thought yes, I'm going to do that, and I want to drop into the chat a letter, links and so on to a letter, and there it goes. This is a document that was brought to the Health and Human Services and Education Committee by Tom Nicouzis and Warren Davis. Very carefully thought out. They also took the letter to Land Use, or we should now say Housing and Land Use Committee. It's an amazing letter. Unfortunately, it's somewhat lengthy, and it's too bad that the members of the committee, especially the new members, won't even have a chance to look at it. But it's brilliantly crafted to identify it. It is a motion to send a letter. You know what, Thomas, you're here. Why aren't you telling us this?
Thomas, do you want to read? Thomas,
I'll do better than that, Maury. How does
can you
that
read
sound?
it? Can you read it? Because
I'll read it, but I have comments that I think I'd like to share first. How does that sound?
Okay, that sounds great.
Thank you. So, thank you, Dr. Ozak. Thank you, Chairperson Maury. As many of you know, myself and fellow board member Warren Davis have been co-chairs of the now named Unhoused and Sheltered Task Force Committee since 2018. And over the years, and more so in the last 6 months, you've heard us speak out at times with great passion about our sheltered population in the communities, in Community Board 2, specifically, primarily in Blissville, which hosted 4 shelters since 2018. Today, you heard from 3 members of the Blissville Civic Association. Blissville, and for the new members, everyone else who's been here knows about Blissville, but for the new members, Blissville is one of the original hamlets that created the city of Long Island City in 1870, and we hold our name dear to our hearts. The city of New York in 2018 determined that Blissville, a community void of parks, infrastructure, stores, adjacent to one of our largest Superfund sites, Newtown Creek, was the appropriate place to bring 400 of our most vulnerable, children, adults, etc. They made promises to us in 2018 to the sheltered residents that they would work towards improving the community. They stood up in front of us at St. Raphael's and said, we're going to bring you a park. We're going to help infrastructure. We're going to do this for the sheltered. Your North Star shelter is going to be the first state-of-the-art shelter in all of New York City. Since 2018, none of these promises have ever appeared. My neighbors and I, we have wrapped our arms around our new neighbors. I cannot say the same for the agency that is supposed to care for our homeless, DHS. This past month, as Dr. G said, we went before 2 of our committees here. We called for an all-hands-on-deck approach here. We need help. I'm happy to report that we received unanimous approval from both committees to move forward with this letter. I call upon the community board to support us as well. Over the years, and especially the last year, we have seen a steady decline in the care of our sheltered and the communities that host the shelters. We cannot sit silently as the city of New York plans to cut $615 million from the homeless services budget, while the city of New York fails to hold DHS or the providers accountable for dangerous conditions, potential financial mismanagement, and stonewalling the community. We demand action on part of our elected to ensure that the residents of our community, be it unhoused, housed, or sheltered, they need to live in a safe environment. They deserve safety. This is a core value that we must provide. The promises that the city of New York made to our sheltered in 2018 must be fulfilled. Rounding up unhoused who live on the streets is not the answer. We must improve the shelter system so folks do not fear the shelters and will enter them. Now, I will share a few examples of what we're talking about. Forgive me for those who have heard this before, but it's worth repeating. The City View shelter was a temporary shelter for 4 years. Actually, it continues to be a shelter. In October of last year, we were told by DHS that they stopped using it as a shelter. However, last month, we found out that that was not true. Why? Because a resident of this shelter set their room ablaze. They've been arrested as an arsonist, and the fire injured 8 other DHS clients. Where was the outrage when this occurred? We were told this is not a shelter. All right? We call for an investigation. The North Star shelter, the state-of-the-art shelter, the first for New York City. The operator of the shelter refuses to tell us why they needed a $2.6 million payroll loan. The only reason you needed a payroll loan during the pandemic was because you didn't have money to pay your employees. I thought the city of New York was paying the providers. Where did this $2.6 million go? We're waiting for an answer. The last CAB meeting, this is the Community Advisory Board for the state-of-the-art shelter. The members of the Blissville community, members of Community Board 2 at the meeting, the providers who were there to listen to us, to engage with the community, They took the call from their cars while driving. How seriously can the provider take a community advisory board meeting if they're driving their cars? Finally, the veteran shelter. And thank you, Councilmember Holden. And now I understand from earlier today, Councilmember Wan, for visiting our veteran shelter. This population, dear to me, they deserve the best, and they're not receiving the best. The Community Advisory Board chair for this shelter has not heard from the provider since the shelter returned in January. Maury, would you like me to read the letter? I think I've outlined the letter. What we're calling for is the mayor to act on this, Councilmember Wan to act on it, the public advocate to act on this. We need all hands on deck. We cannot tolerate the disregard for this population, hiding them away in the hamlet of Blissville. Thank you.
Thank you, Thomas. Thank you very
So
much.
do we, forgive me, Chair, do we call for a vote now on the letter?
We can call for a vote to support this.
I don't know if anyone has any questions.
Yeah, let's open it up for some questions, and hopefully people had a chance to look at it, read it.
Oh, and I would like to add, everyone is welcome to come and visit Blissville. I give very good tours and just wear good walking shoes. I promise you. So connect with me and I'll make sure.
I actually was going to make that point, Tom. I was going to make that point, but I thought after that impassioned speech, I couldn't shift to a lighthearted. But since you brought it up, I went on Tom's tour of Blissville, and it is a wonderful tour, very informative, full of knowledge and delivered in a very humorous and passionate way that you'd only get from somebody who really loves their neighborhood, or as you say, your hamlet. So I see Mary has her hand up. So Mary and then Christine.
Tom, amazing work. Everyone on the committee who went and put in their efforts to make sure that our neighbors are taken well care of. So I just want to say, Tom, and I know we have a lot of new board members on the meeting today. This is something that I feel personally that you should be able to vote on. Obviously, making sure our unhoused community get the respect, services they need. We will have a safer neighborhood if they are cared for properly. And if we're not putting the resources into their housing, why do they feel like they're not worthy? And then crime happens and it just becomes a snowballing effect. So what really needs to happen is that they do need to have the best services possible. And these are our neighbors. We talk to these people every day. So thank you, Tom. And I don't want to make a motion because I want to make sure everyone has their opportunity to ask their questions and put in their comments.
Thank you, Mary. And thank you, Mary, for your ongoing support. Thank you.
I think we should all support this 100%. That's my recommendation to everyone here today.
Thank you, Mary.
Thank you, Mary. Christine? You're on mute.
Yes. Okay. Now I'm unmuted, right? Thank you, Tom, for all your work on this and bringing it to our committees, the Land Use Committee's attention as for discussion, as well as Health and Human Services. My question is really just for everybody's understanding, because as I looked and made some suggestions on the letter today, I realized, for all the things we're asking in the letter, if it seems as though the budget cuts would kind of make it impossible for any of them to happen and possibly worsen the situation rather than improve, have much chance of improvement. Do you have a sense, Tom, of what the schedule is for the actual budget and whether there are other actions we should take with regard to the budget?
Thank you. I have brought it to the council, city council, and in the letter it addresses, the speaker of the council has addressed this back in March of one of her press ops. But they are planning a $615 million cut to the budget.
just for the homeless for
Yes,
the
and
unhoused
focused on adult shelters, which are the ones that are in our community.
Right, but is there a schedule? When do you anticipate that?
Oh,
the budget
July
will-
1.
It has to be passed by July 1?
It gets cut July 1. That's my understanding. I don't know if the council member is here who has some answers, but my understanding is the mayor intends to cut the budget July 1.
It's for the next fiscal budget, which is July 1.
Yep.
So from our point of view, that's coming right up.
Yes.
And
That's why it's an immediate need to have the letter sent.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Dr. Roz?
Yes, I wanted to, I guess I'm famous for asking, how can we help? But actually I have a thought as well that we might want to mention, Tom, about the community advisory boards that are supposed to be meeting with the shelters, and we want to encourage members of this community board to participate in those meetings.
Yes.
Is that
So
correct?
thank you, Dr. Ross. And yes,
Wait, there's one little.
I apologize.
So I'd like to know when the next one is, because on my calendar, I have a meeting of North Star Community Advisory Board on April 11th, which happens to be right in between the Health and Human Services and Education meeting and our bylaws meeting. So I'm not, but if that isn't going to happen, we don't have a conflict. The next one, I'm told, is on May 2nd.
Thank you, Dr. Ross. So 2 items. One is, yes, we welcome more members to join our sheltered and unhoused subcommittee. We meet 4 times a year as a CAB, and I'm putting a little asterisk here because that is for the permanent shelter. We are also asking in our letter that the New York City Council pass legislation requiring that all temporary shelters also have a CAB. We have had temporary shelters exist for more than 4 years. These are not temporary. They deserve a community advisory board. The City View shelter refused to meet with the community. Absurd. Warren, I'm sorry if I'm calling upon you. Do you have a date for our next meeting with the North Star shelter?
I put in the chat, it's May 2nd. May 2nd.
Thank you, Warren.
Thanks, Warren.
Thank you, Dr. Ross.
Can I add one thing also? Because I have a Zoom account that allows us to go for longer times, I've ended up contributing by being the nominal host. And so if anybody is interested in coming to these meetings and get on my invitation list, please just send me an email. My email I will put in the chat. It's cogrehab@pipeline.com. So send me, an email so I'll get your exact email and I'll put you on the list.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Roz. Debbie.
I just want to make a statement. All of the cabs used to come through the community board office so that we knew the dates and could give it to the committees and whoever needed
We'll
to
make
know.
sure
They do
you're
not, Tom.
kept
They do
abreast.
not. None of them do.
Yes.
And we used to hold hearings with them as well. So
Understood.
that should absolutely come through so that everybody's aware.
Yes, ma'am.
Thanks, Debbie. Anybody else?
I think Anatole has his hand.
Anatole.
Thanks, Maury. So I saw the letter today, and also I'm in twice, so you're gonna see, my phone and me. But so I saw the letter today, and I didn't really have too much time to to formulate my thoughts and think about it, but of course I 100% agree, and I just wanted to share. I was formerly homeless with my mom in 1999 to 2001, so I was 13, so obviously not in an adult shelter, but because of where the shelter was, it was on 104th and the 104th and Broadway in the Upper West Side, and they're still going strong. And being there got me into the Delta program at the Booker T. Washington High School, where I got to go to school with the rich white kids of Oscar winners, and that Timothy Chalamet went to the same program I did 10 years later, and I would go to the school with the rich white kids, and I would go home to the shelter on 104th and then Broadway, and because I was there, it changed the course of my life. Now, if you wanted to shove me away somewhere on Far Rockaway and out of sight, and maybe I wouldn't have the same education and the same access to being able to learn how to code switch, being able to talk to the rich white kids and talk to the Black and brown kids that I lived with for 2 years in that shelter. And of course, there were rats and all that stuff, but yeah, just where these shelters are absolutely matters. And if they can't be on the Upper West Side near Columbia, near Oscar-winning people, let's get them the support. So there are many things to love about Tom Fletter, many things to support, but I personally can't abide cutting that budget cut at a crucial time. And if I also wanted to offer my story because people want to you see how the Department of Sanitation, these are human beings, they're not garbage. Department of Sanitation is pulling these people away. That's inexcusable. That's there are so many other departments to kick this over to. Sanitation. If anyone ever needs to use my story as one of the many examples of of who is unhoused, of how many of us can be unhoused, and shit can happen to any of us in any of our lives, and we all need help from time to time, and our unhoused neighbors, they need help, and yeah, let's do this. Let's get this letter in front of as many people as needed, and let's get this done. Thanks, Tom. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you so much, Anatol, for telling us that personal story. I know it's not probably easy to talk about something so personal in a public sphere like this, but we are your friends, we are your neighbors, we are your colleagues, and we're grateful for understanding your experience. And I think, it's so important to, for any marginalized group, the way we can understand better is to connect with that marginalized group and to hear the voices and hear the stories and understand their lived experience. If we see these people not as our friends and our neighbors and our colleagues, but as you so eloquently explained, that when you're sending the sanitation department out, it just baffles me. Oh my God, the optics, the humanity, where is it?
So Chairman, Person Maury, I'd like to make a motion.
Give me 1 second, Thomas, sorry. One of our new members wanted to say something, and I wanted to recognize,
yes, please.
Benjamin Lucas.
I'm sorry, I meant to remove my hand up because I felt like this was misplaced to share more of Anatol. I apologize for that. I guess sorry about that.
No, you're good. You're good. Okay, Tom.
Thank you. I'd like to make a motion for Community Board 2 to support this letter to be sent. We have already received some unanimous support from 2 of our committees. Debbie, did I do okay? I'm not very good with motions.
Yeah, second it.
Thank you, Dr. Oz.
We need to make a general motion. Debbie, can you give us some guidance on that? Where's Steve when you need him?
I know, right?
No, that's
Debbie?
fine. You made the correct motion and I
Okay.
seconded it.
What do we do to vote, Debbie?
Are we going to do a roll call vote?
No, this doesn't need a roll call. It's just a show of hands. So
All
it's
right.
just I would just do it as anyone who doesn't agree with it. It'd probably be easier.
Yeah. Anyone who is against this motion, raise your hand.
And the motion is to send the letter of support,
The
the
motion.
letter
is
that
to
has
send
been
the letter,
drafted by many.
and that Thomas spoke about. And I want to thank all the people that were involved in Tom, your work and
It's
your work on the
unanimous.
task force. It's unanimous. Were there any abstentions?
No, I see none.
No. Okay, so the motion carries. I want to thank everybody for all their work on this. Tom for spearheading it, the two committees for working on it, Christine for helping work on editing, and I think Nick was involved, and Anatole. There's so many people. Everybody, thanks. This is teamwork, and this is the community working together. Thank you. So we can.
Thank you all, and thank you, Maury. And now we just need the people with the purse strings to act accordingly. The people with the power to act accordingly now. Thank you.
Yeah. And Debbie,
Once we send the letter, we'll then once we send the letter out Monday, we will, because I have to put it together and then send it back for your approvals, but then we can also post it to our website, and then you could take it from there.
Thank you. All right. So
We need to go back to the Health and Human Services.
Yes, thank you, Roz.
Well, I'll tell you, what I'm going to do is to point out that the detailed minutes are already present and posted for the committee, and there was nothing much substantive beyond beyond this subject. The subject was by far and away the most important thing, and so I think that should be enough of a report for tonight.
Okay. Thank you, Roz. Land use.
Hi, this is Christine. Lisa is having computer problems tonight, so I will give the report for the committee. Like the Health and Human Services Committee, the Housing and Land Use Committee spent a lot of our March 16th meeting discussing, getting this update and presentation from Tom Matusas, and then discussing how to handle the letter and making a few suggestions. So we don't need to dwell on that. The other thing that we spent a fair amount of time on was our goals and objectives, goals and mission that we're working on. And I just want to say with regard to that, and this is primarily for new members, but other members as well, the Land Use Committee often has a very full agenda because we have to act on a lot of applications that come through the ULURP process or the Board of Standards and Appeal variance process, generally most often from developers. But we don't, part of our, so that is time consuming and it's important. And we also are kind of get continual updates from city planning, which is also important. But part of what we were discussing as a mission is that we don't want to just be reactive to the applications that come into us, partly because that really does just kind of reflect what the development community is doing in our neighborhood. We want to represent the stakeholders of the neighborhood and be more proactive in bringing up to the board and acting on, large issues that aren't necessarily coming before us as applications. And just an example of that, I saw a report this week that of new housing units in the city, most of which, and Queens is getting a way larger proportion than any other borough right now of new development. Most of this, a lot of it in our community, most of it never comes to the community board because it's as of right development and doesn't need any kind of variance or ULURP action, but it does impact the community hugely in terms of population increase and what is the effect of all this development on the community? Also, our community is right on the, a lot of it is right on the waterfront and is very impacted by climate change issues. So that's one goal of our committee, is to try and be more proactive in dealing with these issues going forward. Anyway, other than that, I think, we've covered most of what was at the committee meeting.
Thank you, Christine. Any questions for Christine? Or Lanny's? All right, thank you. When's your next meeting?
Third Wednesday.
Right.
Whatever that is.
Thanks.
I don't have
Put
it
you
on.
on the spot. Who can speak for city services? Danielle, can you?
Land use is April 20th.
Sure.
Thank you.
I can.
Thanks,
All right.
Danielle.
We actually didn't have a meeting this month, so there's really not much
Oh.
to say,
Forgot.
but we will be meeting next, I don't know the date, but we'll be meeting next week.
April 13th, Danielle.
Thank you.
Thanks, Debbie. Do we have somebody from Arts and Culture going to speak?
I guess I can.
Thank you.
Okay. Carisha, as people may know, is on maternity leave. We, being around St. Patrick's Day, our last meeting, we had an Irish theme. So we had the executive director of the New York Irish Center, and it was actually, I've known about the facility for a long time, but I was surprised at how many actual programs they have going. The facility's open 6 days a week. There are programs for seniors. On Wednesdays, they serve free lunches to anyone in the community. And they have as many as 16 cultural programs in the evenings. And there's a full calendar at the NewYorkIrishCenter.org. Then we had the McManus Irish Dance, which is become, was kind of shut down during COVID, and they're sort of back in gear. And they performed on Fifth Avenue for the St. Patrick's Day Parade. And then we're on the Today Show on St. Patrick's Day morning. The organization originally was for 3-year-olds to 18, but they discovered that parents were bringing tots who were younger, and so they've started programs for even younger tots. We also talked about the Open Culture program, which was made during COVID to allow live performances in the streets. It was set to expire the end of last month, and it has expired. There's a lot of desire in the arts community for the program to become permanent. There have been some motions in the city council for it. So we had a discussion about what we could do to support that, and there are some petitions online to make it a permanent program. In the interim, it's still possible to apply for outdoor events through the normal street activity permits office. But it's not as extensive a program as the Open Streets was. We also had somebody from Queens Rising Initiative, which is trying to create a marketing platform for smaller independent groups throughout Queens. And we also had Joe Lobello from QCA, and he pretty much described their outreach for the listening sessions they plan to have. But he didn't mention that they're also working with high school art students to help them perfect their portfolios and college applications. And $4 million in grants were received for students to help with college funding. So that was it. And our next meeting will be this coming Tuesday.
Thank you, Kenny. Transportation Committee. Tom.
Thank you, Maury.
It's your night, Tom.
I'm telling you, I like to be, yes, no, I'm teasing. So, transportation. So, it's important to hear everything I'm about to say. So we met on Tuesday, and DOT presented 2 presentations to the committee. The first was on a community-led request for a one-way conversion on a section of 63rd Street in the Woodwood section of Woodwood Gardens. CB2 had previously requested DOT conduct a study, and DOT came back with the results on Tuesday. And they found that there was an inordinate amount of car traffic and illegal truck traffic along this residential street that also houses a children's park. DOT recommended making changes not only to 63rd, but 65th, making part of the 3 blocks a one-way to prevent all of this shortcut traffic just going through Wynwood Gardens. The Transportation Committee voted on supporting the recommendation of DOT, and we have requested that DOT come before the full board in May, so that way we can ensure community notice of the pending change and provide anyone with an opportunity to provide feedback. You have a month to provide feedback. The second presentation was a presentation brought to us by DOT regarding bike lane network transformation in the Hunters Point section of Long Island City. The Transportation Committee also voted in favor, noting the safety improvements to motorists, pedestrians, and cyclists. And this is where I want everyone to hear me. I want to note that the committee also noted that while there are safety improvements, it was noted that whenever roads are redesigned, it is my understanding that DOT must also implement updated safety standards. For example, daylighting, no standing at intersections to allow drivers to see pedestrians when turning, to allow emergency vehicles adequate priority. Now, it's also my understanding that priority is given to locations when there's a redesign. So here we have a redesign for a bike lane. All of this safety stuff is also coming. Accordingly, according to the presentation, and I asked the question specifically, as a result of this redesign, DOT is estimating that there will be a loss of about 100 parking spaces. Again, we have requested that DOT come before the full board in May for both 63rd Street and the Long Island City Bike Network. So that way the board should review the presentations. I think Debbie has already posted them. If not, please post them online. The public should review the proposals and come with your feedback to the May meeting. I don't think we've heard back from DOT if they're coming in May. Debbie, correct?
No, we haven't heard back yet. We haven't heard back.
So we're waiting to hear back from DOT if they are showing up in May. In addition, a discussion occurred on the Queens bus redesign. And we want to urge all public interested in the redesign of the bus network to participate in the virtual presentation. If you're not able to participate in the virtual presentation, look at the presentation online and there's a space to add your comments. I am one of those who is seeking alternative presentations besides online, because I think there are populations that will be left out of this feedback if we do not do live sessions. We did hear from a member of the community on Tuesday regarding a route that was not on the redesign, which I understand, and we're investigating. We believe CB2 has asked for this previously, a bus through the Midtown Tunnel from Long Island City that would aid in the congestion of the 7 train, individuals that have mobility challenges, and the frequent shutdowns of the 7 train. I've also heard from people to see that many of the bus lines that in the original presentation a few years back that disappeared are back. For example, the Lifeline of Blissville, the B24, is back, although it's called something else now. It's B53. We're happy to see that we're not cut off from getting to places where we could buy food. And I've also heard that there's concern that maybe some bus stops that have been removed need to be reconfigured so they're closer to people that use them. Yes, less bus stops means more speed for buses, but maybe they have to relook where the bus stops are. So why do I share all that? I'm trying to get everyone to understand you got to be in it. Go look it up online. CB2 has it posted. Provide your feedback to MTA. That's my full report tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom.
So the link is on the CB2 website to this bus presentation?
Debbie, it should be. I posted it on mine. Maureen, do you know?
I don't remember if it's on the website yet, but it's definitely in our Twitter feed. We linked.
And I
to
did
the
post
MTA.
it, the MTA, all the information on Facebook as well.
Can we put it in the what's that notices section? Are we able to put it in there on the website?
Yes, yes.
Thanks.
Oh, notices on website. Okay, thank you.
Yeah,
On the
we'll add
website.
it to there. We'll add it to there. It's not there yet, I don't think. Right, Debbie? It's not there yet, right?
Laura added it to the chat.
Oh, thank you. I was just going to say somebody's going to put it in the chat before I finish.
Thank you.
Yes, and just to piggyback on Tom, and not to belabor the point, but to belabor the point. This is important. It's big. It's huge. All the things he mentioned are things that can really impact the quality of life for our community. And like I said earlier, we represent our community members, not just ourselves. So we have to speak on their behalf as well, find out where they are, what they want, what they feel about things. And we should understand and educate ourselves, whether board members or anyone who's still on at this late hour from the community. Find out about this plan. Let your voice be heard. It can't, one of the reasons that this plan is completely revised, besides the fact that we had the pandemic, but the original plan was so unpopular and people really came out and fought it. And so if you like it, support it. If you don't like it, don't support it. If you think there need to be changes, get your feedback in. Don't be unheard. All right. That is it for transportation. Next up is Chairman Frank Wu for the environment.
Hey, Maury. So for March, we actually did not meet because we've been meeting pretty consistently. But our next meeting is going to be April 21st, the third Thursday in April. The prior meetings, we actually had discussed some building emission regulations that New York City had passed, including Local Law 97 and the move to kind of electricity. And I thought it was interesting because there is a letter the committee board is relaying to HPD about the upcoming RFP in Long Island City. And, what are ways that the city can do to be a little bit more greener, right? Because right now, the building construction may not be regulated to be green, right? In 2022, might be later this year, but there might be a community asked to say, hey, this is an opportunity for Queens to be a little bit more of a proactive leader, right? And so that's what we're going to be talking about at our next committee meeting, as well as just the community stakeholders that we want to engage, our mission, especially now that it's expanded beyond parks. So that's all I had. Thank you.
Frank, I had one question, if I may. I know both the transportation and I believe environment voted to support the letter regarding the bulkhead collapse on
yes.
29th Street. Do you want to
Yes.
speak to that?
That was my next question. Thank
Oh,
you,
sorry.
Tom.
I'm sorry. I'm trying to take it over
No,
your
I
thought.
love it. I love it. I love it, Tom.
I missed it. Yeah. So at the last environmental hearing, we had Newtown Creek Alliance as well as LIC Roots come talk about the collapsing bulkhead on 29th Street. And the environmental committee voted to write a letter of support, explaining the urgent need to address the situation. It's a little bit complicated because there's multiple agencies involved between DOT, MTA, nobody wants to take ownership. But the point is, this thing needs to be addressed, right? So I think the environmental committee and transportation committee both voted to support the letter. So it'd be great to have the full board support too as well, and we can post the draft of it too as well. LIC Roots too is a great local greenery space by LaGuardia Community College too as well. They're having like an Earth Day event April 22nd, so I'm going to be coming out there for that as well. Maybe I can post that in the chat too, since Earth Day is coming up. But
yeah, if I may, and I'm just going to take a little bit of Frank's time. The value in this is to bring green space to an area severely lacking it. LaGuardia Community College is right there. The kids use this space to their biological stuff. Newtown Creek Alliance is behind it. Did I tell you it's only steps from Blissville? So we're bringing green space, right? We can make this happen. What we don't want to happen is see a wall go up like went up on Vernon Boulevard. That's not what we want to see. We want to see greenery, not a wall. Thank you.
I totally agree with the sentiment that is expressed by you, Tom. And I want to say that we're going to get this letter out. Do we need to take a vote on it, or is the letter already supported?
I don't think we need a full vote. I mean, I think we can pass unless like
but we can share it.
Frank, I believe the letter was supported by both your committee and transportation, correct?
Yes.
And it's official now, right? It's going out.
I'm good.
Once it's confirmed.
Shouldn't we take a vote, since much as we did with the letter about the unhoused and shelters and so on?
Well, do we have a copy?
Can we drop it in the chat? I mean, it's a short letter. It's not long.
Do you have it handy, Frank?
Debbie, do you have it? It was the draft that I sent. I think Sheila made some minor modifications for the last one, but
let me see if I
yeah.
I just think, I mean, I'd like to get it out.
Yeah, we should get it out. And there's a large coalition.
Does anybody have a picture of it that they could drop in the chat?
I'm looking.
I mean, a picture of what's actually happening, because if you don't know, it'd be good to have a little of that perspective on it. And once the letter is out, I would like to get some folks together and gather at the site and talk about the issue and look at it, and maybe do a in-person field trip to it and invite the press and get as many board members and members of the community who are interested in this issue together. So stay tuned for that, because this is another very, very important issue and a big problem in the community. And if I'm not mistaken, Frank, wasn't the property originally owned by the MTA, but then there was a private company that kind of...
It still is, yeah. So essentially the private company encroached on the MTA land and it just never been enforced, right? But the local community group, LIC Roots, has requested that public land be repurposed for public green space. And there are some visual renderings. So we talked about what the community board can do, and that includes putting in a budget capital request in our budget priorities around just a feasibility study. Again, it is publicly owned land that could become green space, right, for Waterford access.
Right.
And the donut plant is close by too, so they have really good donuts. There we go. So it's
Frank posted the article that was in the Sunnyside Post, I think, or LIC Post.
Yes, and if you go all the way to the bottom of the article there, it contains the letter that was sent by Newtown Creek Alliance, which received the support from many of the elected, several civic associations. We missed the opportunity as CB2 to sign on because of our calendar.
So do we want to take a vote on supporting this?
I would.
Okay, do we
Sure.
have a motion?
I'll make a motion for,
All right, make it.
and make a
I
motion the
second.
board supports a letter. Great. So all those who oppose, anybody oppose?
Wait, who seconded it?
I did.
Kenny
Kenny.
did.
Kenny,
Thank you, Kenny.
Frank made the motion, Kenny seconded it. Anyone opposed? Was anyone? Anyone abstaining?
I do not see a hand up,
It's unanimous.
so it's unanimous.
All right. So stay tuned. Look out for emails from the board. Follow Twitter, Facebook. We're going to organize something, hopefully on a unrainy day at the site to do a field trip and discuss this more and get some attention on it. Tech committee.
Hey again. So nothing that Maury didn't mention and others didn't mention. We're very close to getting the newsletter done. So thanks everybody. Thanks also. It was a cross committee effort as well. So with the engagement and committee with Tanya and Nick. So very close to getting that done. You should see that soon. The website, we're working on that. That's progressing. And our next meeting is April 26th. We'll have one and maybe two special guests. The second special guest Camilla is going to help me with. So, so watch this space, and yeah, see you later this month.
And as a member of the tech committee, I will say it is not just for technophiles. It's, you know, for anybody who believes that technology can be used. Anatole, I'm looking at your picture with the still picture, and then all of a sudden I see someone nodding. I'm like, wait, that's Anatole. It's for anybody who understands and believes that technology can be used to increase access and integrate with the community and ways not only for the community, not only for an arm of helping communicate on behalf of the community board, but also issues with technology and access within the community, whether it's high-speed internet or stuff like that.
It's if I may add, it's the boring stuff and the fun stuff. The boring stuff, as far as the office management and things like that, which we know it's not boring for me. It's a lot of fun, but I'm a nerd. But for the community side as well, it's it's internal, external community office. So it's technology affects so much of our lives, but So, but the remit and tech committee, I'll be sending you the draft of the mission statement and everything else that the homework that we're that we owe. But it's for internal for the board, which helps the community, and also initiatives that can directly help the community. So yeah, it can be broad. So the April 26th, come check us out.
Thanks. Yeah, new members, check out these committees. Encourage you all to stop in and see these meetings and find out more about it. And I remind all of our chairs to remember to put in your document into the shared folder. If you don't know what I'm talking about, reach out to Debbie or me and we'll tell you how to do it. And if you are on a committee and haven't seen your draft, and remember, this is a living document, so it's going to change. So I'm not worried about things being in final form. But if you're on a committee and you haven't seen it yet, ask your chairs and CC Debbie and me so we can make sure that you get access to it, because this should be a document we're all working on together. These are documents we're all working on together. Again, welcome to our new members. A hearty welcome. So long to the folks that have left the board. You're still always welcome to come back. I do want to make one comment. I do want to make sure it's clear. The board, community board, is an apolitical city agency, and it is not a place to be espousing or endorsing or what's the word, politicking. So I know there was I noticed there was a little bit of that today. I'm not going to go into detail, but I want everyone to be very clear that that is not acceptable. It should never happen. And we are here as an apolitical group, and we are here to help the community. No one should be coming here to politic. That is not acceptable. And with that, I just want to say a very, very happy Holy Month. Happy Passover, happy Easter, Ramadan Mubarak. Did I say it right or say it the other way around? Hanukkah, thanks. Okay, and that's it. Happy Earth Day coming up.
Can I make a motion?
Please.
I'd like to move that we adjourn this meeting.
I second that.
Who was the first one to second?
Danielle.
Danielle, thank you.
We need a second to adjourn.
We just did. We'll take a
Mary,
roll call
raise your
vote.
hand, please. Mary, raise your hand and be the third. All right, meeting adjourned. See you all soon.
Thank you.
Night.
Thank you
Good
all.
night.
Welcome to all the newbies.